What's up, dude?
Pug. Just, just pogging out. I was doing those pre-quests in the new area. It's taken a while, but, lore and everything.
Yeah, I see.
Have to make sure that we know what happened with the storyline and
I've been
everything.
doing anything that has like really long pre-quests.
Yep.
Like the, what's it called? Lomian, I think, where you have to do like the blockbusters.
Oh, yeah.
I've been wanting to do them for ages, but I saw online, someone said like, it takes quite a long time. So I'm like...
Yeah, Damien is not too bad. You just have to do the last chapter. You can access all the chapters, and as long as you do the last one, then it's fine. It's only like 40 minutes or something. But yeah, Lotus, you have to do the whole thing. It's like 5 to 6 hours, I think.
Not doing that.
That's a while.
Are the blockbusters like the same I did like the mushroom shrine thing for the cloak a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the instanced, I don't know how to explain it. It's like where you're in like a separate world, like you...
Yeah, kind of, yeah. There's like an area where you can only go that way, and then there's some puzzles and some conversation and some kill monsters to move to the next area kind of thing, yeah.
I was very miserable doing the mushroom shrine stuff, so...
Yeah, it's just more of that, just even longer for Lotus.
Not happening.
But if you do it once in your account, then it's unlocked for all your characters, so you never have to do it again.
Nice.
So that's some added value now. At least in the past, you had to do it for all your characters separately. That was not a good.
Yikes. Don't you have like 50 characters or something as well?
Yeah, there were a few pre-quests where I was like, okay, I guess I have to do this on all my characters, but then they removed some stuff at the time, so that saved me a lot of time. If I'd started that too soon, it would have been all over the place.
That's good at least.
All right, let's give you some help. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Yeah? All right, so where do we start? What character do you play? What level are you? And what are you trying to achieve?
So I play a Evan. I'm
Yep.
like 220 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like for now, I haven't really gone into something properly yet. Like I've just been doing like the basics, like getting my Legion up slowly. I got some CRA carries a while ago, so I have the 3 set from that.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 set even. But I haven't really done anything, like I haven't like focused on anything, like just slowly getting everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I'm absolutely awful at bossing.
Okay.
Or it might just be Evan, I'm not sure. Probably a combination of me being awful and Evan not being the greatest, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been a bit rough. So for now, I'm mostly just like mobbing, getting my whole account up slowly, and not too worried about like rushing anything,
Mm-hmm.
Just, taking it slow, getting everything up.
Is there anything in particular you enjoy out of all of that?
Just like the steady progression. Like I've played WoW for like a dozen years, so like used to like the slow progression and just getting everything up. Like I don't really have like this very specific goal in mind. Like eventually you just want to get to like 250 or something. And I saw like I was watching a stream the other day. Someone who was around your level, like 270 something, who was getting like 2% an hour or something along those lines, and it was like too grindy for me, I'd probably just stop somewhere around the 250 mark.
Yeah, now with the new areas, if people are strong enough, apparently they're able to pick that up quite a bit again. But yeah, up until now, getting the last 5 levels are torture. Like with the progression speed definitely doesn't feel good. But all in all, it's not like you're not moving forward, because there have been times compared to now where it was even slower to gain percentages. But yeah, it definitely gets pretty grindy. That's why I put off getting past 260 for so long. The only reason I got to 265 because of the Ancestral Blessings event, or whatever it was called. I don't know if you were around for that.
No idea. I've only been playing for like a few months. Like I played a lot as a kid back in, I think like 2008 maybe. Back when like Sinus Knights came out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was just a big event where you could get a huge buff, and then during that buff you would get just a lot of extra EXP, so I used that to grind out to 265, but other than that I didn't really have any desire to go past 260 either. Like 260 was already kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Do the levels even give you anything? Like once you're like 260 plus, because I assume like all of your damage comes from like your gear, right? Like all the potentials and stuff like that?
It depends, right? It's a mix and match. I like to think that the equips, of course, are very important, but everything else is basically works together. what the percentages that every single piece does, that's always hard to say because it only does that much because of everything else it's working together with, right? It's all about a balance. If you unequip one item and you look how much range that item gives, if you're already taking out of the equation all of the utility of IED and boss damage and all of that, you can see a certain number of your total damage range that the equip gives. But if you unequip everything and then you look at every equip individually, that number is very different, right? Because of the interactions with everything. So it's very hard to say like, oh, your equips are like 70% of all your damage or something and your legion is like 10%. It's kind of hard to say. You can say that once you have everything set, but as soon as something changes, then everything kind of changes with it. So it's kind of tricky to say. But equips, of course, are pretty important, especially like the weapon, the secondary, and the emblem, right? Those three things together determine a lot of your damage for sure.
Yeah, like I tried cubing those first. Like I got the weapon and the, the emblem to legendary. But I read somewhere that Evan need, what's it called again? It's called like Demo Shield from Cygnus, like the one where you have to craft it, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So I've been doing Cygnus for a few weeks, but it hasn't dropped yet. So I've been kind of holding off on like cubing my secondary.
Yep.
Because I thought like it's like the basic one from the vendor, like the level
and it's fine. Like at Epic, this is probably as much as it's gonna give you anyway. So that's not bad at all. So I just threw
some occult cubes on it, and I got like a magic attack line. So I thought like I can either like get this shitty one up to like legendary or unique, whatever, but figured it wouldn't be worth like the meso sync for like how long I was actually gonna keep it, assuming that I get the demo shield soon.
So you just enjoy the progression in general. So how do you kind of fill your day like when you're playing?
Like the first thing I did is obviously just like focusing on my main. Like I just got it to like 210 or something because I figured that's like people told me, or like I watched like some videos, that's where like the real game starts, right? Like with the new areas and stuff like that, and like the what's it called again? Arcane symbols. So that's the first thing I did, and lately like I haven't really been touching my main like leveling wise. Like maybe I do like half a level a day or something.
Right.
Just being like slowly grinding up my legion, doing my Ursus, doing my Maple tour, spending the mesos on black cubes to slowly try to like tier up my stuff. And the main reason, or the main thing I wanted some help with, is like kind of figuring out like what the priority of my meso spending should be. Like I've watched a bunch of your other videos and like general guides. And I think I have like a decent understanding of like what your goal is, right? Like eventually you want to get things to legendary. You slowly like I know like what to prioritize, like your WSE, etc., etc. But I'm at a point now where like everything is like everything was epic at like 6% int, which was like the first like milestone or whatever, I guess. Like the early game milestone or something. And then ever since then, since I got it to that point, I've been a bit lost. So I got carried for what's it called, Vellum, Chaos Vellum, and I got my CRA stuff. So I decided, like I read somewhere that was like BIS for a long time. So that's the stuff I've been prioritizing. And then I found out later that apparently it's really hard to get like good lines on these.
True. Unique is probably fine where you have it now. But if you want to push it beyond this, it's way more expensive than all the other items.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to kind of like I'm not too worried about like saving like a whole lot of time. Like I don't mind like making mistakes, and it costs me like a few weeks worth of mesos, right? But just kind of want to have like a general direction of like.
Yeah, sure. Well, since everything interacts together, right? It's going to be a matter of progressing everything forward. Are you familiar with the progression grid that I have?
Yes. Like, do you mean the one where you have like early game, mid game, and late game, like section into 3 blocks, so to say?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I checked it out. I think I'm at like the middle of mid game. I think.
Is there anything there where you had any questions about, like, because this is basically like the skeleton of like the whole session, right? Is like figuring out where you are, and which things you enjoy. And if there's certain things you like, we can do that a bit more. Other things you don't like, we can do that a little bit less. But we want to roughly aim towards these numbers. because basically this is what's going to help you maintain that balance that you were asking about.
Yeah, I see. So the stuff I don't enjoy is bossing mostly. Like I fucking suck, like I said. So I'm not too,
have you identified why that is? Is it practice? Is it ping? Is it
practice mostly? Like I live in Europe, so ping is like a little wonky as well. But I haven't like definitely can't blame that. You know, like it's definitely practice.
Well, you can blame it a little bit, but yeah. I know what you mean. I blame it a little bit. Okay, I don't want the ping to become perfect because then I have no excuse left.
Yeah, it's like I done what's it called, Chaos Pink Bean the other day, which was really easy because you can just spam potions, right? So
yeah.
I tried doing normal Empress like a while ago when it was a little bit weaker, but I kept getting one shot by the like the full map where it spawns like all the volcanoes from the floor.
Yeah.
And I read in a guide somewhere that you have to like go to like the very corner, and sometimes there's a safe spot there. And then half of the time there's just not a safe spot there, unless I'm like blind.
Yeah, so there's a few things there to work on. How familiar are you with Evan and their kit and what they can do?
I mean, it's pretty much the only character I've played so far. Like other than obviously getting mules to like 120, 150. That's not really like the real thing, right?
Yeah, true.
So I feel like I have like a decent understanding of like how the recalls work, like keeping up like your earth recall for the attack speed, keeping up the what's it called, air recall thing for the extra IED.
And there's one for is there one for final damage or something? A wind is a
the wind one is IED.
Oh yeah, is that the little spiral thing over their head?
Yes, like a little blue something. So yeah, I feel like I have a decent understanding. Like I'm nowhere near perfect, but I know like the basics. I think, just like mechanics, right? Like I've pretty much only done the bosses, which you can just like cheese by just doing a bunch of damage.
Yeah, and that works up until a certain point, but then past a certain point, you'll have to know certain tricks, or you'll just have to, practice. So the main thing is kind of assessing what level of danger is a certain situation, and then assessing if you need iframes or not. Do you know what all of your iframes are? Because I think you have three.
I don't know anything about them.
Okay, well you have 3 of them as an Evan, which is actually one of their strong points. So you have one of your hyper skills where you sit on a dragon and you shoot like a giant breath, right? That one, while you're doing that, you're just immune to all damage.
Really?
So
I never even know that.
Yeah. So that one will help you surviving big screen attacks like the one for Cygnus. The tip for Cygnus is yes. Sometimes there can be an edge, and that has to do with the shape of her attack. So the shape of her attack is a little bit bigger, but like the size of the map. And what happens is if she goes slightly out of the middle of the map and she moves to one side, the whole area around her will be the attack. So if she's more to the left and all the way on the right side, there might be a part where there's no purple geyser, and vice versa.
So basically like goes into the wall on one side. Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of moves away from the corner because she has a max range that she can use that attack on. The other thing is the purple geysers one-shot you if there's only like small amounts. It's like 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Those always one-shot you. You never want to get hit by those. If it's the full map attack, it only quote-unquote does 90% of your HP. So if you make sure that you stay ranged and you stay full HP, you can tank it and then heal up afterwards. But what you have to be careful for is that you don't stand like in the middle of 2 geysers, because then both of them will hit you at the same time and you'll get hit by 180% damage. If you stand right on top of one and only one hits you, you won't lose all of your HP and you can heal right after. But the main thing with Cygnus is that she has a very long cooldown on your potions. So either you have to kill her very quickly, or you have to be super careful in staying long range. So that's one major thing. So if you just use a potion, you can't pot anymore, you'll have to use one of your iframes. Another one of your iframes is Ethereal Form. It's not exactly an iframe, but it kind of functions as one. It turns a lot of the damage that you would receive into... It negates like 95% of the damage or something, and then the remaining damage goes off of your MP instead of your HP. So it basically functions as an iframe at a very short cooldown. I don't know if you...
like a V-Matrix thing?
Yes, it's a 5th job. It's the common mage one. I don't think you have one. It kind of looks like a lotus flower. It's like green and a little pink in the middle.
Don't think I've seen that one before, but I have quite a bunch of what's it called, like the points that you get from like disassembling them. Because
the shards. Yeah, you could make it with the shards. It would be pretty useful
on
on bossing that are a little bit more demanding, because I guess we can look at the matrix a little bit with that in mind. And then the third one would be Freud's Wisdom, which is another skill node. That's the one that all of the hero champions have. That one is a bit more tricky, but basically when you start it, it starts at 1 charge, and then it lasts, I think, about 30 seconds. But you can use it again after 25 seconds, and if you do, it refreshes the cooldown, and it gives you the first 2 effects. And it keeps doing that until you have a max of 6 effects, and the 6th effect is that you are immune to all damage. And you have all of the effects going at the same time. So what some people sometimes do as a mage is they stack all of the effects together, and then as soon as they summon the boss, they have all of the effects, and then for 30 seconds you're just completely immune. You have all of the buffs going, and you could do all of your bursts, without getting knocked around or getting hit by stuff. And then right after,
you prepare it beforehand.
Exactly, yeah. And then before it ends, you can throw your bind out, so the boss gets stuck even longer, and then you do even more and more damage, and then you hope that together is enough to kill the boss completely. And what you were talking about, kind of cheesing the mechanics, that would be right up your alley with that. If you want to be more engaging the mechanics and trying to practice more, sometimes you need iframes. It's not you can't kill it without iframes, but it just makes it easier, makes it faster. You don't have to walk back, re-up all your buffs, or you have to use a bunch of freezers, right? So Ethereal Form could be very useful, but using the hyper at the right time will also be very useful. And now that you know the geyser mechanic, that will give you more survivability there as well.
Yeah.
One more thing that works in normal Cygnus, sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it before we talk about the Matrix more. With Cygnus is that she does the thing with the black tornadoes, right, that you can get stuck in, and then she does a purple geyser under you, and then you're just fucked, right, because you're just completely incapacitated. One thing you can practice is you can up jump, and if you are at the highest point of your up jump, you cannot get hit by those black tornadoes. So one thing to get used to, and that's the other thing that practice gives you, it's not so much practicing what skills to use against the boss, but it's also getting used to the rhythm of the attacks. If she summons an attack, how long does it take before the skill pops up? How long does it take before you take damage? And that's a very important thing to learn with the bosses, because that's going to give you way more freedom to move around freely and to do damage without the actual risk being present of you getting hit and taking damage. And that comes from practice, and that comes from trying to do the boss. But usually what I tell people, if bossing just feels overwhelming because there's just too much stuff going on, the first thing that I think is good for you to do is to enter the boss fight and just try to walk around and try to stay alive. And that's all you do. Try to not take damage from anything. Start there.
That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, and then you learn the patterns, you learn to dodge, and then that's step 1. And if you can run out the clock of the timer without dying out, that's the first goal. The second goal is to try to do it without dying at all. And then if you can do that, then the third time is to try to weave in doing damage, and trying to hit it without dying out. And then the next step will be optimizing your timers and your burst and all of that together while still dodging everything. But you need a base level of knowing where you can stand, knowing where you can definitely not stand, right? Because maybe you're safe if you're doing nothing in a certain place, but if you're doing a skill that locks you in place, maybe now it's not safe anymore. But you'll be able to respond faster because you can always fall back to, okay, I'll just stop attacking and focus on survivability for a little bit. And then once the dangerous situation has been averted, now I can go back into a higher risk situation of trying to do skills while the boss is doing a bunch of stuff.
I see.
And there's a certain list of how more difficult the bosses get, right? And I think it's a good idea to just start at a lower level boss. I think Cygnus for you is a really good place to start because she will drop that shield recipe, hopefully, at a decent rate. And then, not only will it help you get used to the mechanics and get used to the timings and just, in general, just getting better at doing a boss and doing damage while staying alive and learning how to use your iframes properly and all of that. And at the same time, you can have the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow to be the recipe for the shield. And if you can get lucky with that, then, you can at least start working towards your best in slot secondary.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's about at your level.
For the bosses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with the gear that I saw and with your current level, it's a boss that's doable. But not you just walk in and you just, now I figured it out. Now you just one-shot it. But it is doable to work towards for sure.
Yeah. I got it to like I think like half HP or something, and I like won. Like the thing is, I haven't like tried it properly with like buff freezers and everything. And I didn't use like the monster perk potions and stuff like that. So I feel like if I just practice it and do like the full try hard run, where I like invest some potions and stuff like that, I could probably get it down. But like you said, like the thing where you try to like dodge all of the mechanics, like that's a really good point. Where you just go in and just try to survive, because that's the point. Like the damage is there. Obviously it's gonna take like 10-15 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, it might take a while for sure. And the added benefit is as well is once you know that you can do it, you can start checking where can you take more risk and where you can take less risk, and that'll help you. And that experience will just help you, because some of it will not be transferable to any other boss and it just won't be useful, but some of it will be transferable to other bosses, and you'll see like, oh, this is a similar pattern in this other boss, and once you know like how the timing is different, you can apply it to the other boss, and then you can get the hang of the next boss way faster. And there are definitely some bosses in the game that don't have any value like that, and it's kind of just like walk in, roll your face on your keyboard and get out. But like it starts with Cygnus, and it starts with like the CRA bosses, where there's a lot of types of mechanics that will come back later, and getting used to those and being able to engage with those mechanics and just controlling them, then that will help you further making more complex bosses that come kind of, can kind of extract like, oh, this is kind of similar to what Queen does when in the fire stage. This is kind of similar to what Vellum does with the rocks and with the dive. And then you can, if you piece them all together, suddenly you will have like 80% of the boss fight already under control because of all of the other bosses you've done.
Yeah, so you just apply like the general knowledge.
Exactly, yeah. And then, there's always a few new elements, but it won't be like all of them won't be new elements, but only maybe like half of them or something. And then you have a way stronger foundation of where you can start from. Yeah, so I think Cygnus will be a good start for that. And yeah, you can definitely see if you craft the Ethereal Form and kind of figure that out. Ethereal Form doesn't last very long, but it has a very short cooldown. I think it has a 1 minute cooldown, and it lasts like 2 or 3 seconds, I think. So knowing the timing, knowing when you get hit, knowing when you take damage is going to be important, so you don't use it too early or use it too late.
Yep. Probably just gonna practice with that and craft the iframe stuff today and give it a go.
And she's got a DR, right? So keeping an eye out for the animation on when she does damage reflect. One thing.
Is that the little bubble around her?
Yeah, it's some kind of
little bubble shield thing.
Yeah, there's 2 shields. So there's one where she summons a bird, and then when the bird is there, all the damage that you deal to her is reduced to just 1 damage, and you just have to wait until the shield goes away. But you have to kill the bird as soon as possible, otherwise the bubble stays way longer. And the other thing is kind of like a purple thing she summons, and then she has like the purple shield over her head, and if you hit her then, you just die. Your damage gets reflected. And if you go with a party member, she has an interesting mechanic where if you attack her while she's in that, you actually kill your teammate instead. The damage gets reflected onto your teammate.
Oh,
so you can actually kill your party member if you're not careful during that boss.
I've been soloing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only been like the volcanoes that I've been dying to. Literally only that. Just because I didn't know the thing you explained, where it's like you can have to like drag it to the side to have like a safe spot. Yeah,
that one is hard to rely on. It's better to rely on just like single. If it's full screen, you can get hit by one. If it's individual ones, you can't get hit by any.
I think I wasn't full HP beforehand either. Because I thought, oh, I'm like 75%, right? Like I don't have the potion yet.
Yeah, you have to
you're
get
like
used
holding
to...
back on it a bit, because obviously there's a pretty steep cooldown.
Yeah, I think it's like 20 seconds or something. It's from the olden days, but somehow that one stayed forever.
Yeah.
Mention Mihal damage reflect on Cygnus. Oh yeah, when she starts summoning her guardians and stuff, they can have some effects as well. They can do some extra DR as well. It's just whenever you see bosses do any kind of purplish effects, always be cautious, because that could be damage reflect, and then
bad.
yeah, exactly, yeah, just purple scary.
Yep.
There was one more thing about Cygnus, but I'm blanking now. Ethereal Form, diving. Yeah, the up jump over the tornado, that can be very useful, so you don't get stuck on that. That's just a timing thing. Like as soon as you see them, you up jump, and then if you're at the highest point of the map that you can be, then the tornado can't hit you.
Sounds good.
That's gonna be pretty useful. Yeah, so I guess making Ethereal Form will be useful. Okay. Yeah, and then from there, I would try to once you feel like more in control there, I would definitely start working on CRA and practicing those more.
I've tried the clown quite a lot, like without like the whole buff reserve thing, like just kind of like what's it called, like laying down. I forgot what it's called in English. Like when he does like the bolt thing, like going into like the shadow realm. Is that what it's called? Shadow phase or whatever. Where you have to like go into the portal.
You're talking about Von Bon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I said clown.
Yeah, you said clown. Yeah, no, I was just confused. Yeah. Well, they're all kind of clowns. They're all. It's like the circus in there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I meant Von Bon.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got him to like 40% or something, and what's it called? Like then I ran out of time, and then I didn't realize. Like I watched like one of your other videos, or I think it was one of your solo progression things, where you do it on all your mules.
Yep.
And you explained the thing about the clocks.
The clocks, yeah, that can be a huge difference.
And then as soon as I saw that, I was like, it all makes sense now,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I had practice runs where I didn't pay as much attention, and suddenly you're down to 2 minutes. You're like, what? And if you pay attention, suddenly you're at the end of the boss fight, and you still have like 9.5 minutes left. So yeah, it could be a huge difference for sure.
That was like a time issue. So I think if I just follow that next time I try, I should probably be able to do that one.
Cool. Yeah. Good. Oh, that's the one thing I was going to say. That in general, do you play with your skill visibility pretty high up, or have you turned that down?
I turned it down to like 30 something. Like, I've been watching quite a lot of like streamers and videos and stuff like that. Not like actual full-on boss guides, but mostly it's like general stuff, you know. So like first, as soon as I started, I obviously had it up because I didn't even know there was a thing. And obviously I have like the dragon with like super flashy animations. You have like your pets, then you have like your own skills. It's like boss stuff. I was like, holy shit! Like,
and once you get familiar,
see like anything.
Exactly. Well, and that's what the thing I was talking to you about, right? Is like trying to get used to the timings and the mechanics. Well, you need all the indicators that you can see. Like if the boss does a certain animation for a certain attack, you can respond faster. But if he's covered in like a rainbow of, and that's kind of what Evan does, is just covers everything in rainbow vomit. It becomes very hard to see what you're supposed to be responding to, right? Sometimes there's audio cues, but that's pretty rare. So.
There was like one time where there was like a video, and it was like as soon as he like I don't remember which boss it was. It's like as soon as he like lights up his hands, like do this and this, and I couldn't see like anything. So I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that?
Where are the indicators? Yeah, so turning your visibility like even further down, I think I have mine on like 5%, like just one ball to the right of. So in the beginning, you have to get used to your skills, right? You have to start seeing like, okay, how far does the skill hit? Where do you place something down? Where do you put a summon so that it still does damage? That kind of thing. But once you're used to that, you want to basically put the visibility down as low as possible so that you can fully focus on the boss, and that the boss and the boss's attacks are basically the only thing you're seeing. Because at that point, you know if you put 2 skills down, you know where you're hitting. You know if you're doing damage or not because you can see the damage numbers. And the other thing you can do is you can also make the damage numbers less big to make it so that you can see even more of the boss fight. Have you tweaked the damage visibilities anytime?
I haven't touched that at all. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. Only the where's the graphics and just like my character, and then turned it down to like 30% or something.
Yeah. So under the skill effects, you have damage effects.
Yeah.
So in general, I have mine always set to mini. It just makes the numbers a little bit smaller.
Is that mini basic numbers or mini cascading effects?
Yeah, mini cascading is just, it's fun for like 15 seconds, and then it's like, okay, now it's getting annoying. It basically makes the numbers like float up like it's a waterfall up. It's not a good time. It's like a little bit quirky, but it gets old really quick. The thing that you can do though, especially if you're practicing the bosses, is turn it on to blade effects. Now, what blade effects will do is it'll turn every single line of damage and put it on one line. So it'll refresh the number very quickly, but it won't make a whole wall of numbers appear, and if you have indicators that go up, for example, you can still see up in the map for later bosses.
That's really cool, actually. I had no idea that was a thing. That's actually going to be super helpful, because Evan has a lot of lines, right? Especially when you do like the fifth job.
Yeah, exactly. Thing. Yeah, the whole,
so your whole
map is
just your whole screen is just covered in like red lines.
Yeah, and as you're still getting more accustomed to, like, what does the boss do, how quickly you need to respond, I think in maximizing your visibility, I think that one is going to be very important in the beginning. And, you know, you'll see if you hit it or not because you see the numbers. Yeah, I think those two tips will help you a lot as well. Especially later with...
I had no idea that it was a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, because we're playing a two-dimensional game, sometimes you have to, help yourself a little bit with the visibility. It's kind of sad because you want to see what the boss does and you want to see like your special effects and you want to be flashy and everything, but you have to kind of choose. Either you see what the boss does so you can live, or you see what you do, but then you die.
Yeah, there's no best of both worlds.
Yeah, for me, for stream, it's always a little bit tricky. Like, what do I choose? Because, if you choose very flashy, the character looks really cool and like he does a lot of damage. But then if I die, I look really stupid. So do I want to look cool that I can kill the boss, but then you can't really see what I'm doing? Or, I have to pick like the middle road. So it's kind of annoying, but it's a 2D game, so we have to work with what we've got.
Yeah.
So I think those things are going to be... It's kind of like functional. It's kind of weird. It's not really like gameplay, but I think those will help you out a lot. Just that foundation to looking at the bosses. And then the other stuff, of course, that's very, very important is the symbols and is the matrix. We already talked about the matrix a little bit. Is it okay if we continue on that? Or is there anything?
Yeah, because I'm pretty clueless about the matrix. Like, I know like the very basics, of course, like the looking for like the certain trinodes and the fact that you can upgrade them. But the thing is, like, I heard something about like you can upgrade like certain slots.
Yeah, you've already done that actually. You see those gold rims around your nodes? That's like the slots upgrade. So that's when you use those matrix points that you get every level when you pass 200. And then you level up the slot. So that's the slot level up. You've already done that.
One thing I got confused about, I think it was one of your videos actually, or maybe you said it on stream. You can get like a certain trinode to like level... I think you can get it to like level 50 or something, you said, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so...
so you can have like 2 times 25 or something like that, if I remember correctly.
So the highest the skill can be boosted in total is 60. And...
Yeah.
The only up to 50 of that can come from the level of the nodes that it's in, and up to 10 can come from the slots that the nodes are in. So if you have 2 boost nodes that have, and one skill is in both of those boost nodes, and both of the skill nodes are up to 25, and they're in level 5 slots, then you can get up to level 60. Like
I don't really understand like the slot thing, because I have like 3 different trinodes which I've upgraded, right?
And if you hover over a node, you will see like level 5 enhancement is in effect. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's the effect that you get from the fact that the slot is level 5.
I see.
And that's why even if it's level 4 node, and you expect it to have the level 4 effect, if you hover over it, it'll say level 5 enhancement is in effect, and it'll actually give you the same effect as if the node was level 9. But if you move the nodes around to a slot that isn't leveled up, it'll go down to the level 4 effect. And
so
the
you
other
level
node.
up like the what's it called? Forget the name. The circle thing, but it's not a circle. Forgot what it's called in English. Like the actual do you like level up like the actual slot, or do you level up the node? That's what I'm kind of confused about.
So if you click the slot enhancement, you can see what level all your slots are. Do you see that?
Oh, I see now.
So you see you have I think 4 level 5s and then 5 level 1s or level 0s, I guess.
The first 3 are all level 5.
And then the bottom left one.
And then the bottom left one, Dragon Slim is level 5 as well. And the other ones are all 0.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter which slot you level up. I think it's good to level 1 slot at a time up to level 5 and then move on to the next one. So you've been doing that. That's great. But it doesn't matter where the slot is specifically, because you can just move the nodes around as long as they're off cooldown, and you could just move them in. Like if you try to, if you go out of the slot enhancement and back into the first view, and you drag whatever skill is in one of the leveled up slots, and you drag it and you switch it with one that isn't leveled up, you'll see that the levels on the skill will stay the same, because the node themselves, the skill node, the boost node themselves, that their level doesn't change, but the effect that you get changes based on what position it's in, based on if the slot is leveled up or not.
I see. So if I understand correctly, you level like the... So let's say I have like the tri-node on the very top left, which has level 4 right now. That's because I merged it 4 times. And then if I go to slot enhancement, the actual like slot that it's in is level 5, which makes it a total of level 9 with 2% per level, making it a total of 18, right?
Yeah, so if you press K and then go into the V tab there you can see what the total effect is of your entire matrix, and there you can see what level is in effect right now. And so you can see what skills you have and what their total effect is, and then if you hover over it, you can see how much final damage that means in total.
Oh, I see.
So there,
that makes sense now.
Yeah, so there that can go up to 60. So if you look, are you watching the stream?
Yes.
So you can see for me, for example, like in my matrix, I have most of my skills twice, so that are in 2 boost nodes, and they're up to level 25 and in level 5 slots. You can see for slot enhancement, right? So all of these are level 5. And you can tell by the rim, right? Like this one has a smaller rim. This one has a little bit smaller. So this one is like level 3. Yeah, so I can level this one up. Oh, now this one's level 4. And you can tell the difference there. And then if you hover over it, it says level 30, level 5 is active. And if you go into this, you can see how much I get from all of those. So one skill is only boosted in one node, which is Scarlet Drive. So you see this one is stuck at 30, 25 from the boost node, and plus 5 from the grid bonus. And that gives it 30, and then the other ones go up to 60, which is 50 plus 10 from the...
Yeah, so just merge them as much as possible, and then the actual slot itself, is that capped at level 5?
Yeah, level 5 is max for the slot, and 25 is the max for the node itself.
I see.
Yep.
So in order to get like level 25 on something, you would simply have to like merge a lot of similar nodes into that one, right?
Yeah, you said merge 4 times. You have to be a little bit careful because every merge gives you the same amount of experience, but the amount of experience you need to level goes up as the level goes up for the node.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So it's like
I merged like one, it gave me like 70% or something.
I think it's like 55 skill nodes to get to level 25, or 110 boost nodes to get to level 25.
I see.
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah,
I was really confused about like the thing where it's like the slot versus like the merging thing.
Yeah. And
because it says like 4 on the very top left for me.
Yeah, but then
when you click
9.
slot enhancement, it's level 5.
Yeah,
so
and it gives 18%, and then there's so many different numbers.
It made, like, 0. It made no sense. I was so confused.
Or you can have one skill in 2 different skills, and then the number is even more different. And you're like, why is it 23?
Yeah, I've Earth Circle on all 3 of them now.
Yeah.
The one is pretty decked out. It's 23 right now in total.
Oh well, yeah. See, 23. That was the number I was going for. So that is one thing. So that setup that I have, that's like the perfect setup when you go further into the game, because you want to make sure that all of the skills that you want to boost are boosted with the minimum amount of slots, so that you can have everything else available for your skill nodes, because your skill nodes add a lot of your damage, right? Because at a certain point, it doesn't really add much more to boost every single skill, even the skills that you barely ever use. If you could instead use a skill node that increases all of your damage, maybe a decent skill, or maybe a boosting skill for during your burst, right, to make your burst even stronger. So in the beginning, it can be better to use a bunch of boost nodes, as you don't have fleshed out like which skills you want to boost and how and which ones you like, because I think specifically Evan, and that's why I'm a little hesitant to give like very in-depth Evan advice, because there are different setups possible for Evan depending on what kind of playstyle you like. And I do have, I don't know if you've seen the vmatrix command, but there's like a few setups that people do here. So I think the most important ones are Mana Burst, Wind Circle, Earth Circle, and Dragon Breath, I guess, apparently.
I have Earth Circle and Dragon Breath combo, but then the third one is always like slightly off. But I have like the main 2 components, I guess. I think the first one I have is wait, let me check.
I think Mana.
So it's like Earth Circle and Dragon Breath, and then it's like Dragon Flash, which is like the activator, right? So that one isn't like too.
Yeah,
and they're not optimal, but I think they're decent.
Yeah, optional has the other ones. I think the main skill though is your Mana Burst, right? That's like your main attacking skill that you use the whole time.
It's on the middle one. Like
yeah, you have the top one in the middle, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one. You have it burst one time, but like like you can see from my matrix, right? If you eventually what you hope to get towards is that all of the skills that you use are level 60, which means that you deal 120% final damage bonus to them. So that's more than doubling your damage versus the base damage. So that's where a lot of your damage is going to come from. And the only way...
Is that like your RNG, by the way?
Yeah.
Get like the base node, so to say?
Yeah, so there's a percent chance to get a special node, a percent chance to get a skill node, and a percent chance to get a boost node. And then within those percentages, it's just like a random, whichever... excuse me, whichever all of the nodes are that exist within there, you get a random one.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, in the beginning, it's all about, especially with the boost nodes, you have to just keep a bunch of boost nodes and find like the combinations that work for you. But there are a bunch of skills depending on where you're training and what kind of what kind of combinations you like doing that will be better for certain situations. I don't know if we have specific bossing or mobbing set up. No.
I would assume that for bossing, it's mostly the what's it called? The mana burst thing, because that's kind of like what you're doing like always, right? Like while mirrors attacking. But like the ones that I have right now, I mostly did it for mobbing, just to make my leveling smoother. Because you know the earth ones, I think these do the most damage because they're fourth job skills, whereas the wind and the thunder thing is like third job, I think. So these are like on steroids right now, while the other ones are kind of lacking behind. But I guess it just takes some time to.
But those lower level skills get higher percentage final damage, right?
Oh really?
Well,
I had no idea.
I don't know specifically, but if you typically for the lower level skills get boosted higher percentages with boost nodes. I don't know exactly how it works because Evan also has like 18 different jobs, right? It doesn't have like 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's probably a little bit all over the place.
Yep.
But yeah, so specifically for Evan, I have these two setups. So I would say probably try to keep this priority because this is in mind with just not only with, specific situations, but also just character growth. It's possible that you just need 1 or 2 skills all the time, and it's more important to have them so that you can get to the point where you're strong enough to start needing the other ones, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So that can be pretty important. So I would look to... Oh, I just fucked up my invite. Nice. So yeah, Mana Burst, Wind Circle, Earth Circle, Dragon Breath, those seem to be pretty important in both of these setups. And then the thing is, you can add more and more boost nodes later as you unlock more slots, but you don't want to have like 16 boost nodes in there and then like 1 skill node, because then you might be missing out on a lot of damage. But you also don't want to put 1 boost node in there and then 16 skill nodes, because then your 1 boost node is probably not doing much. So
yeah, so it's like finding like a healthy balance, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of tri nodes with your key spells, and then like the what's it called? Like the blue ones, like the general ones, whatever it's called.
Skill node? Yeah.
Just finding like the skill nodes.
Yeah.
Just finding a healthy balance between having all the skill nodes you need.
Yeah. So in general, what I would say is if your boost node is so like it's in a level up slot, but if your boost node is like around 5, 6, 7, it's probably like for mobbing it can be okay, but for bossing it's probably better to just completely replace it with a skill node, and the skill node will just do more damage for you. Like in your current situation, I think if you figure out the mechanics more and how to use your skills properly, and you put in your 2 fifth job skills, the Radiance and the whatever the install skill is, right? That you can like permanently shoot blue balls, and you put your bind in.
I found that one really annoying to use. There's like there's like one like the pentacle which you like charge up, and I didn't mind that one. Like obviously it's a bit slow and it can be a bit annoying if you have to like dodge mechanics, right? The one I hated is the I think it's called Spiral of Mana.
Yep.
It's something to do with like the arrow keys. I haven't used it in a while, and it was so annoying to use. Like I don't know if I'm like Pepega, but it just wouldn't work half of the time.
I think you have to use it. You have to use either use the key, or I think you use regular skill downward to install it or something, and then it stays on the ground. But then
it was something like that.
But then if you use Mana Burst again, I think you reduce the amount of attacks that it does. So you want to be weaving your mirror skills in mostly. with each other and not use your mana burst too much. I think.
Yeah.
And use mana burst when that's down instead, something like that. But yeah, like with the bind and with if you get your radiance off and all of that, and you can fuse all of that damage properly, and you can make sure that the combination of those other two skills, right, with the giant rainbow vomit that comes on the target, if you use those right skills, if you can make sure that all of that damage connects on a boss like on CRA, that's gonna end up giving you way more. That's gonna give you way more damage than like a level 2 boost node. Sorry, someone's knocking at my door.
Oh, good. Take your time.
Right. Apparently my neighbor across the street dying of pain, so
Yikes.
yeah,
Is he okay?
Well, they apparently had their second vaccination, so people respond in different ways to that. Some people barely notice it, other people feel like they're dying, so
yeah,
they need some painkillers. I don't have much, so they got it all. I hope they give some back, because now I don't have any anymore.
Your whole stash is gone, huh?
Yeah, my whole stash, dude. My whole painkiller stash. I had like two tablets. Yeah. Well, I hope it helps. It relieves them.
Yep.
Okay, where were we? The matrix. Yes. So the skill nodes, very important in the beginning. Once your boost node starts getting higher levels, then they'll start phasing in and start replacing the nodes more. Specifically, it's got to be more of a mobbing versus bossing thing. I think specifically because the spiral thing for you for mobbing is not really anything you use, right?
Yeah, that's why I took it out. Like it takes like forever to charge. Well, in that time you could have killed them up like 5 times.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like the bind is nothing, right? So that all makes sense.
Yep.
Would probably So I think in this setup, it's probably going to be fine to use another boost node, like instead of the advanced blessing, because that doesn't do all that much.
Yeah, I think I should probably use the what's it called? What's the attack speed thing called again? Forgot the name.
Speed infusion?
Yes, because I think in the other, I think you didn't Evan a while ago. You mentioned that speed is like important for Evans.
Yeah,
I just had this one, so I was like, oh, I'll give this a try, but it's only like 20 magic attack, which I guess at this level isn't like too impactful, right?
Yeah, having access to
like everything.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's probably gonna be fine to move your fusion skill just at level 1, because 5th job skills tend to be so strong that whether they're level 1 or level 5, they're probably just one-shotting. If you're strong enough, it's important to level them once you're bossing and you're trying to min-max your damage. So using that level 5 slot for like another boost node for now is probably fine, just to squeeze more levels out of the boost nodes. And then later, once they're taking up too much room, then you look closer and closer to getting those specific boost nodes that will help you consolidate them, right, in fewer amount of slots. And then once you get to that point, that's when you can start moving more and more skill nodes in instead.
I see. I want to ask, is there any value in, because I made like the decent holy symbol and the decent sharp eyes a while ago. But when I leveled up I think I messed around with it because the reset only costs like 1 mil, right? So I just messed around with it before a bit. And I leveled up I think it was like the decent holy symbol once or twice just to see what it would do. And after like 3 levels, the duration went up by like, I don't know, like 5 seconds maybe. And the XP went from like 20 to 21 or 22%. So it felt, at least to me, it felt like the like upgrading the buff nodes felt like really useless to me.
Yeah,
Like
the only one,
of...
yeah, the decent skills, yeah. The decent skills just give a little bit of all stat. They have more uptime, which is convenient much later, because you want to make sure that when, you know, bursting happens in bosses, that you have all your skills prepped. And what happens when you have higher levels, the decent nodes, is that you have way longer uptime versus
like
cooldown.
wiggle room or whatever.
Yeah, you can like refresh them way before the burst starts to make sure that they don't run out like mid burst, because that really fucks with your damage output.
Yeah.
So
but that's not something I want to focus on.
No, not for now. If you don't even know for sure that you're gonna play this character like forever, you can even extract them now and get the shards back. But if you think you're pretty sure that you're gonna play this character like for a decent time and like at least up to 250 and stuff, you can just level up with the nodes that you get. But I would never craft nodes for it. The other thing you said is like the reset costs you 1 mil, right? So you don't have to pay for reset at all. You can just move the nodes, right?
I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, just want to make sure that you don't spend money on that, because it's a lot of extra clicking that's unnecessary.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I said, right, it doesn't matter which one you level up, as long as you level up one at a time to 5, like that's the most important.
I didn't know it was like the slot, so I thought I had to like reset the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thankfully it's not that expensive, so.
Yeah, it's not like
lesson learned.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a pretty cheap lesson to learn, but that's good. I mean, you're playing around with that. Yeah, that's basically the Matrix, I guess.
Yeah, that all makes sense now. Like, I think I understand like the basics, and for now it's just like opening like a bunch of node stones, getting like the perfect try nodes.
Exactly. Well, so with that in mind, like anything you can do, any kind of event or just any access to nodes that you have, I would prioritize that very heavily.
Yeah, I bought, like looking back, probably not the smartest thing to do, but I bought the, I think they're called Karma Meister cubes. Like I bought them from like some mules. I think there was only like a limit of 20, so I only spent like 2,000 coins, which looking back isn't too much, right? So I did that, and I actually got like a few tier ups from that, but I probably should have bought node stones instead.
Yeah, nodes because it's just such a big damage, and the damage increase, the final damage for your boost nodes is just so insane.
Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna make the boss fights faster, more manageable, and just in general, just regular monsters are gonna die faster, so your leveling speed will just go way up. You won't be as reliant on your skill nodes to clear the map, but your regular skills will be able to do it. So yeah, that and the arcane power, right? So are you doing your symbol dailies?
I've been doing like, there's like two aspects to it, right? I think there's like some kind of like PQ thing, like that's how I would compare it to, I don't know what it's called, but I would compare it to like a PQ kind of thing.
Yep.
So I haven't been doing those because they seem kind of tedious, like the Mudo thing.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that. I've just been doing like the kill quest.
Oh yeah,
and,
okay.
So it's like slow but steady, right? Like I'm not in a hurry at all. Have you just been doing the kill quests?
Well, even if you're not in a hurry, it takes like a year to max those, so it's probably good to.
Are you serious? Does it take a year?
It's like the last. If you get to the last area, it takes you like 11 months to max it. If you do every single day and you don't have events. I have 6 characters maxed now. Oh yeah, you can do multiple at the same time. So. Oh no, wait, 5 characters. Sorry, I'm working on mine 6 right now. Yeah.
Quite a feat. I
think.
It's I use the
a little bit every day.
What's it called, the selector symbols, because I asked in the Discord like which ones is like which one's like the most tedious to get, or like the most time consuming, and I heard that lack line, whatever it's called, that one apparently is like very
it starts
a high bar of entry.
Yep.
So I think I had like 100 from the event when you get to like tiered, I forgot what it's called, like the Maple hotel thing.
Yep.
So you get 100 from that. So I was like 210 when I got him, and they expire, right? So I had to like make like a massive like rush to 20. Yeah,
those they get you to play a lot like that.
Yeah, and then you get like 20 from what's it? Choo cider, Yum Yum.
Yeah,
so
you've done
like 120 in total.
Yeah, and you've done both of those storylines.
Yes. Yeah. Like reversing. You know.
That's good. Yeah,
because like unlock the symbol, and then just like I had like so little time left before they were expiring. And then I was like, I didn't have enough mesos to like
Your whole inventory full of.
Yep.
Hey, at least you have a level 6 now. That's really nice. I mean, that's a lot of intellect, right? It's a lot of damage comes from that, and
sure.
a lot less trouble killing things around your level. Yeah, Mudo is very valuable. And you're aware of the you can skip the dailies with the you can skip like 1 for every area you've completed, right?
I think before it was like 4 or 5 per area, and I think now it's only 2. If that's what you mean.
Yeah. So with every area up to. Is it up to 2 areas higher than what you have? Like you don't need to do all of the dailies anymore. You can auto-complete the rest with the best record that you've gotten. So now that you've completed Lacaline, like if you do Urda Spectrum in Vanishing Journey, you only have to do it once, and then you can auto-complete the last 2. So that makes the efficiency for doing it way higher, right? Because now you just do it once for 6 symbols, and then
I've noticed that.
and then the kill instead of the 5 kill quests, now you only have to do 3, I think. And that can
I think it's only 1 or 2 right now.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
think it's 2.
It's been a while for me since
I've been there.
Yeah. For me now it's just 1, and because you did Vanishing, because you did Reverse City, it's doubled now, right? So you get 16 symbols for doing just a few kill quests, and it's a nice experience as well. It's basically like your training.
So expensive though, like the upgrades.
Yeah, the upgrades goes
50, 60 mil or something.
Yeah, it goes up to, I think the last upgrade is like 160, but it takes way longer.
Not too bad.
It takes way longer to get there, so you have way more time to make the money. In the beginning, it's cheaper, but you have to do so many upgrades so quickly that it's actually kind of expensive. But once you get to like level 10, level 11, it really slows down in how quickly you level up. So you're not losing your money every day to it. It's more like you have a few weeks before you need to.
I was like looking forward to my black cube dopamine, like getting like the tear ups, and then it's like, oh, it's 50 mil.
Yeah, you have to hold your money.
Like upgrade 50 mil again, 50 mil again. 50 mil again.
Especially with the Lacaline, all of the levels immediately.
Yep.
But with with Hungry Mudo and Chuchu, that is up to 15 symbols a day from completing that. So that is a pretty good daily. It is very normal that you can't really solo that or anything. So
I haven't even tried.
Yeah,
it just looked annoying, so I was like, nah.
Yeah, you have to get used to it. Depending on what kind of mobility you have, it can be more or less annoying. You have to use the river in the bottom to as mobility. That makes it a whole lot easier. And knowing how to get around the map is pretty useful. But yeah, it's one of those things, like if you really don't want to do it, it's whatever. But it is 15 symbols a day, and it does translate to a lot of stat in the long run. And of course, Arcane Power helps you whenever you move to a new area, that you don't take a big hit in your damage, but you have a bit of a buffer. So yeah, with that and with nodes and with this, that's where a lot of your damage comes from, because these two give you basically like invisible final damage multipliers, and final damage is the biggest way of increasing your damage.
It's like 150%, right?
Yeah, so if you have 50% more than the requirement of the map, then you get plus 50% final damage when it comes to Arcane Power, and of course it gives you all of the flat intellect as well. And then with boost nodes up to plus 120% final damage. So neither of these show up in your stat window whatsoever, but these two are like the most important things of gaining damage. They're kind of like the silent killers of your damage.
That is purely, right?
From what?
That's purely for mobbing, right? Like the Arcane Power?
There are also bosses that require Arcane Power, which you will need them for. So Lucid and Will are Arcane, and Varishilla and Black Mage and Gloom and Darknell are all in the Arcane River, are all Arcane bosses, and will require certain amounts as well to deal bonus damage to them.
Oh, I see. I had no idea, but don't think that's something I'll be even considering anytime soon. So.
No, but the thing is that once you start wanting to consider it, and then you have to get started with your dailies, then you'll be like a year behind on your dailies, and that'll feel pretty bad.
That's
yeah.
True. So you kind of want to just like keep it up and.
Yeah, so if you make
once you get to the point.
Yeah, if you can make a habit of doing it regularly, then if you don't feel like doing it a day, you could just skip it a day. It's whatever. But if your habit isn't doing it, and then you only do it like once a week or so, if it takes 11 months to do it every single day, if you do it just once a week, well, now it takes like 6 years to do it, right? So how much longer it takes if you don't do it nearly as much is like an insane magnifier of how long it takes. So yeah. But for some of these dailies, what'll be a good idea, at least what I think works, I don't know if it works for you, is just to find a buddy and do them together with. You could do Spectrum together, you could do the Kill Quest together, you could do Choo Choo together, and you could try Mudo together, and then do the Kill Quest and Lackline together, and then the only thing you have to solo is Dream Defender.
Yeah.
And yeah,
probably start looking into that soon.
Yeah, it might be someone in the chat or someone in the Discord who's in like around the same level or in the guild or whatever you are. Be like, oh yeah, let's do it together. Or someone is on their 3rd or 4th character, and then they have the links in the Legion, but they're still not going to be insanely strong, and they're going to be at the same point as you are roughly. So, yeah. So those two super important. And then from there, I guess we can look at the Legion a bit, because you have been working on Legion, right?
There's like a really scuffed picture at the very bottom.
Oh yeah.
Like I just put it into like a Google Doc, right? Like keeping track. So I've been slowly getting like a bunch of stuff to like 120 for the link skills, and then I've bunked like a few of them, like 3. It's like slightly outdated, so my kind of like 175 now or something like that.
Yeah. Did a few more bunks since then.
Yeah, exactly. It's like and I burned a character. Like I watched your what's it called? Your terror burning guide thing yesterday. So I burned a Phantom. I already had one at 120, but I wasn't gonna like level that regularly from like 120 to 210 because it takes forever. So I just burned another one. I'm gonna get that to 200. I think it's like 160 or something right now. So
you could see it had surprisingly good 5th job skills actually, and I thought it was going to be horrible for Project CRA. I don't know if you saw the Project CRA for the Phantom, but
I've only watched like a couple of them.
Oh yeah, well, Phantom is one that's done. It was a fun surprise. I don't know, it was way stronger than I thought, so might even make it to.
The 4th job felt like slightly underwhelming, just spamming like the cannon bazooka thing that you take. And
yeah, the Tempest is really nice. The Tempest in 3rd job is really nice, but then it doesn't seem like you get anything until 5th job.
Yeah, felt a bit wonky. Yeah. The cooldown is like relatively long. I think it's like 20 seconds maybe. So I was just doing that, and then you just like spam your cannon thing, just like hold spacebar and take a nap.
Yeah, I never used other characters' attacking skills. I only used other characters' buffing skills. You'll always use my own mobbing skills.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, you can also do the Pathfinder macro, right?
Yeah, I did that for like the 1st job or 2nd job or something. I don't remember. I think I got to like level 100 with it, and then I switched to cannon bazooka. Is that what it's called? I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the cannoneer skill. Yeah.
There's so many names. I get like confused with like everything. There's like 50 classes and specs. And spells and effects and systems, and confuse everything like all the time.
Yep, and then you switch between characters, and you have to immediately remember what they do and how they work. It's a lot.
For sure.
So, is there anything with because have you seen the links command?
Yes, I've just been like the first thing I did is like I didn't know you had that commanded first, so I just leveled like a bunch of random stuff. But like I'm not touching Mercedes like ever again. This is not. I'm not getting that past like 140 at most. I just don't want to play it. I hated it. And other than that, I'm just kind of following like your general order.
Okay.
I made like a Night Lord recently, like at 100-ish right now, and then I'm just like working my way down.
Yep.
Do you have any idea when Beast Tamer and Zero are available, by the way?
They said July, so like the July 21st update is when I'm expecting them.
Is that like the part 2 of Neo?
Yeah, that's when the 2nd burn goes live as well.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think anything about the Legion is particularly confusing. Guess it's just kind of grindy, right? Like you just get a bunch of stuff to like 120, 140, and eventually it starts like adding up. You get more slots.
Yep.
I think at like 3k you said there's a jump? Or was it 2.5? So I'm kind of just like slowly working towards that.
Yeah, 3k is you get to put 5 extra characters in instead of just 1. So that's pretty useful.
The only question I had is like I just unlocked, I think I unlocked it today or yesterday or something. There's like one more outer layer, which you can see in the image. I haven't touched it at all. And I guess that starts getting like wider and wider, like the more your Legion ranks up. But I saw something, I think it was one of your videos again, where someone was like, they basically like drew like a thin line towards the outer layer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Could you kind of help me like understand what that means, like the outer layer thing? Like, I know the outer layers are better, right? Because these stats are like more valuable.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I'm watching your stream now, how you have like the line like going outwards. Then is that just, do you not need to like fill the whole thing to reach the outer layers? Because that's what I thought at first, that you had to like fill the...
No, so the main, there's only a few rules actually. So one of these four squares in the middle has to have a symbol in it. That's one of the rules. And then the other rule is that all the pieces have to touch each other. And that's basically the only two rules. Other than that, you can just put them wherever you want. But you have to kind of know what gives you damage. Like, if I want to move a piece around, if I want to move this one here, I can't do that. It just won't go there. But if I want to move it like right here, or I want to like rotate it and I want to put it right there, I can do that.
Yeah, so that's like attached to something, right?
Yeah, because it's touching. But I can't do like diagonal touching. Like, see, that also doesn't work. This piece is like the weirdest example, so I'm using that one because this one has diagonal touching. It's weird. But like, that doesn't mean that I can touch diagonal with other things. But I can also put it here if I want to. I can put it here if I want to. Like, I can even put it here so that it's like, I think it can be off screen, right? Yeah, so like it can be partially off screen as well, and you just don't get anything from it. If that's what you really want to do, you can do it. It's your, you work for it.
Is there any, what's it called? Like, I noticed that some of them are like just like straight lines, like just 3 diagonal blocks, or horizontal, I mean, sorry. And then some of them are like a 3 line with like 1 block going outwards in the middle.
Yeah, there's.
Is there any? Does that like differ per like? Does it like differ per job, or does it differ per level, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's a picture in here that I use for that. Here, this one. This is basically what you're looking at.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Like, some of them are like 2, and some of them are like...
So rank B is level rank B is level 60, and then A is rank 100 is level 100, 140, 200, and 250. And then based on, so these are warriors, is little sword, mages, archers, thieves, pirates. So based on which class they are and what rank they are, they'll have a different shape piece. And Xenon is the one exception. Xenon has like an even different...
Which link was this, by the way? Sorry? The one you're looking at now?
I'll put it in Discord.
Thank you, thank you.
It's basically when it came out in KMS. I still have this one because it just has a lot of good information. 0 is a little different. You can see 0 here. This is one like how, if you want to build a grid, you can use this. I think the Xenon piece is the same up until 200. Because Thief and Pirate... Oh no, they're kind of similar. Which one does Xenon get again? Warrior, Pirate, Mage, Thief, Archer... Thief/Lab... And then 250, Xenon gets this piece. Which is just... basically just a snake, you know?
Yeah.
But nobody plays 0, so you have no problem there. But yeah, like the 250 mage piece is probably one of the most annoying pieces to get rid of because it's just sticking out every way. And then the archer piece is very useful to make that connection from the left side to the right side without any spillover into another area. So you have optimal use of the characters that you can put in there. Because this is the way you want to think.
I tried doing it, and then they were all like sticking outwards, right? And then I noticed that one character was like just a straight line. I was like, why are the other ones not a straight line? Like, am I doing something wrong? But I guess there's actually some...
yeah, it depends on the rank. Yeah. So your Evan one is double S. So your Evan one has the thingy sticking out, right? It's like the T shape.
Yep.
And then all the other ones are just 3. Yeah. So most of your pieces will be just S shape. For a long time, and so on the archers, the thieves, and the mages are all the same ones. So those are pretty easy to fit in. But if you have a few pirate or warrior pieces, that'll help you just fitting those corners. But yeah, in the beginning, you'll just fill up your intellect and your magic attack, and that's fine. That's whatever. But as soon as you can get to the outer grid, that's really useful to start using because of how much value there is in critical damage and critical rate. And you're familiar with how IED works?
Yeah. You told me, or you said it in a video, and it made perfect sense.
I probably explained it a few times. It's
there were a lot of people who didn't understand it, and then you went through it quite a few times. It's probably explained it like 100 times to people by now.
Probably, yeah.
More.
But it is, once you understand the concept, you can see how important it is, and it's one of those, invisible damage increasers again, right? Just like the final damage in your boost nodes and your arcane power.
I think my ID is really low, actually. I don't have any ID in my gear other than the, obviously the luminous link. And I guess I have to like put some grid stuff into it. And I had like the event, what's it called? Like the Maple Hotel event bonus, but that's gone now.
Yeah, that carried you over, but now you have to start working on that yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a little bit again in the current event, right? If you get, but it's gonna be tough for you to build enough cores at your level.
Yeah, Chaos Pink Bean every week.
Yeah, to kill the weekly bosses. Well, you could do, as long as you can't do normal sickness, then you can still do easy sickness. Once you can do normal sickness, then that's a little bit more, and the CRA bosses will be the next ones that will hopefully be able to be killed, and then give you more cores. You have 10 weeks to build up, and that's the one thing that I wanted to mention in general as well with the bosses, is that once you get to be able to kill them, you'll notice every single week how much stronger you're getting with how much easier the boss is getting. And you'll have that baseline of like the first time you killed it and how long it took and how many times you needed to practice. And then like a month later or something, the boss is just a total joke to you. You just walk in and you know exactly what to do. Yeah. And it's just a very good confidence builder as well. And that's why you need to start just low, because that's just good to start getting your confidence snowball rolling. Yeah, so at this point, you're at 2K. Yeah, like so the ID is not very efficient at low amounts. So moving into ID now might not be super efficient. It's probably better to get into critical damage and critical rate. What's your critical rate at like?
Buffed, I think, is like with the event. I had it on, or with the Maple bonus. It was at, I think it was 98. And right now with these in sharp eyes, it's 89.
89, okay.
So I think if I get the weekly boss thing that you were talking about like a minute ago, I think that gives you like a 5 or 10% boost. So if I get that, I'll be at like 100, I guess, or like 98. So I guess I'm missing like a couple percent there.
Yeah. So
something I want to ask as well is about my bonus stats or hypersets.
Hypersets. Yeah. I noticed you have them sped up a lot. Like you have them.
Yeah, it's like a shit
all over the place.
I have no idea.
So it's probably a good idea to start consolidating those as well, because you'll once you put all of them into fewer amounts, you'll get bigger chunks of it. And then later, when every level up costs an arm and a leg, then you want to start moving them into different stats again, because that'll be more important. Yeah, let's see how we can connect all of those, because that we're basically get to the point where the puzzle starts, right? Like, where do you put the pieces in the Legion? Which characters do you put into the board? What do you do with hyperstats? And the last piece is, and which link skills do you use, right? All of these together want you to get to the point where you're at 100% critical rate. That's important. And you want to get to the functional IED that is as close as possible to what the progression grid says that you want to be at, so that you can do the bosses, right? Just because having the mechanics for the boss and having the equips for the boss and having the boost nodes and everything, but if you don't have the IED, your damage is not going to go through. So that's just still going to be an obstacle that stops you. So
for sure.
The functional IED is definitely something we need to look at, and then the other thing is see if we can get the crit rate to 100%, and then like how do we puzzle that? So IED will be useful, but again, like the 6% IED, if you put that your pieces there, that's not going to be that amazing. When it comes to IED, I think the biggest sources that are going to be something that you are going to need to rely on is you probably will need at least one line of IED on your secondary or on your emblem, just to get you to carry you over to building more Legion and links, and and in the longer term to like getting to Golok stuff and the set bonuses there. Because definitely until you get that line of IED is going to just save you and make sure that you actually deal damage to bosses. And the other thing is going to be try to get IED on familiars.
Yeah, sounds good.
Those two will do a lot, and then for now, for like the short term, we'll definitely look at like where do you put the blocks in the Legion, and what level do you get your hyperstats to? So you're at 89 currently.
Crit rate, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, that's with decent sharp eyes.
With decent sharp eyes, okay. And that's level 9 hyperstat, right?
Let me just double check. Crit rate. Where is it? Yeah, that's level 9 hyperstat, and then decent sharp eyes brings me to 89. That's also with the level 2 Phantom Link skill.
Level 2 Phantom Link, yeah. Oh yeah, is this a screenshot? That's what you have now, right? Phantom Link. Yeah. And is there crit rate in the current skill?
What do you mean, sorry?
There's a skill now as well, the Neo skill, right? I don't know what it's called exactly. But I wonder which buffs are in there as well. Because that's going to be around for a long time. Someone says there is, yeah. Okay, let me check the castle real quick. I think we have to talk to the collector dude to see what percentages we're working with. But again, this is going to be connected to the Neo core, so that can be... Tell me about... I want Neo Force. There we go. I can get level 1. Okay, what is level 1? Level 1 gives... Oh, a lot already.
That's so many stats, actually.
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything immediately. So that's 5% crit rate already from level 1, and you have to get 100 points for that. But you probably don't have that much right now, right?
No, I don't think I've done any of the weekly bosses yet.
Yeah.
I think I can probably get like 30 a week, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might take a while to get up there.
Yeah.
So because what I'm thinking is if you get to rank 1 of this, which you definitely can get, that gives you 5. And if you fill the grid, the critical rate in your grid, that's 6 and that's 11 together, that gets you to 100 exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Math works out, huh?
Yeah. And then if you get the Phantom, that's an extra 5 there. Then you can move the pieces from the critical, like from the board away again into something else, maybe into boss damage, maybe into IED. If you get the Phantom Link there somehow before you can get the level 1 link, the skill, then you don't have to get the skill yet. But then once you have both of those, you only need 1 in critical rate anymore. And the extra thing is going to be once you make the Beast Tamer, that the link skill gives you extra crit as well. Then you can start taking points, even more points out of the grid for crit, and you can start taking hyperstat points out of crit. And because those are expensive points right now, right? Even if you take 2 points out, that's 7 or like 8 and 9. That together is like 55 points, so that can be 2 or 3 levels in something else instead. So that way you look at the puzzle, right? Like how can you exchange one for another? Because there's not too much other crit stuff coming in. But yeah, so I have for ID and for crit and all that, I have these sources pages as well. So you can kind of look like where do you get it.
Oh, I never saw that link before. That's good to know. You have so many commands, actually crazy.
Yeah, there's
crit rate sources.
They just keep adding more and more and more, yeah.
I saw like a total list was like 200. I was like,
yep, I think we're about 200.
How do you even keep track?
Yeah, well, I had to make the big list to somewhat try to keep track. But yeah, sometimes I look at something as like, why was that ever in there? And then, just update it. But it's way easier to update than like a YouTube video, right? How do you make a retraction? Do you like completely render a new video and upload it? And do you delete the old one? And do you...
Makes sense.
It's just simpler. It's way more direct and it's faster. And someone can also see one and see like, hey, you forgot something. And be like, oh yeah, that's true. Boom, I just added and it's done immediately. And now everyone has the up-to-date information.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these things are all like the familiars and the familiar badges, and these are all very small things like soul buff. Like these are kind of exceptions that you have to put in there to be correct and to be complete. But
yeah, the whole puzzling thing gets kind of confusing. Like adding up all these different sources and things you can do. Because for example, my WSE, I rolled, I think on my weapon specifically, I rolled magic attack plus int quite early.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm pretty low on mesos, right? Like I get like 200 mil a day roughly, maybe 250. So like the amount of red cubes that I have to use to like reroll is I just kind of had to like estimate like, oh, I think that's pretty decent for now. So like I was thinking of maybe I should go for like an IED line on like my weapon or something, or like crit rate on my gloves. But like that type of stuff, like I feel like it would be so much of a meso sync to like roll specifically for something like that.
Yeah.
But I just want to go with like the guaranteed sources, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. There's there's just like on average less money equals more guaranteed upgrade, and then that's where you start off. And then once the ball starts rolling and your income just goes up because you can kill more bosses, you can train in areas, your meso income goes up, all of that stuff, then you can get way more nitpicky and way more exact. And then some people even make like specific gear for mobbing and for bossing and that kind of stuff. That'll start happening at that point. But until you get to that point, yeah, you just take all the little things you can get for sure. Yeah, because I'm thinking the weapon, like at this point, the golden opportunity would be to try to get that shield and try to get that to legendary, and then try to get the ID line there, because you know you'll have a lot of outs. You can get ID there, boss damage and magic attack. So like any combination with those will be very useful for you for your overall progression. But it's not like it could be weeks before you get the shield, right? I think the shield can also drop from regular monsters. I'm not sure which one exactly, but I've heard the drop rate there is pretty bad, and you don't have familiar drop rate. You probably don't have access to many coupons, so it could take forever and could be kind of a, you know, like chasing your own tail, trying to get that drop. I think it would be more important trying to, you know, seeing if you can get a drop rate coupon, and then trying to see if you can get the boss very low, pop the coupon, kill the boss, get a better chance of the drop maybe. Something like that. Just to
I feel like that's like the next big goal, like just getting that secondary.
Yeah,
it's like the biggest power spike at this point, right? That's like kind of accessible.
Yeah, just getting it to like 10 or 12 Star Force or something won't be huge compared to this, but what it will be is it'll set you up for potentially going up to 20 stars. I don't have the exact stats here, but I think at 20 stars it's like 75 stat and like 25 magic attack, I think. If you compare that to the secondary here, like it just blows it out of the water, right? Yeah, not even close. And then, but then the potential lines do the same. So yeah, it's just way better in that regard. But yeah, specifically, I think for you in this situation is like the line of ID from there. That's where the huge power creep will come in, if you can get that. Because the other ones are, considering like your funds and everything, the other two are like in a good position where I feel uncomfortable saying like, oh, just reroll those, because I feel that's more expensive than is good for you at this point.
Like I didn't really have like something to compare to, but I feel like the lines were like decent enough. Whereas like other stuff was like lacking behind. I think you said like don't focus on like perfecting one drop, like focus on like the general average. So I've been trying to kind of get everything up like slowly. The only thing I was wondering regarding that is like, is it generally better to get things to unique first, or to get like from epic, or from unique to legendary? Like what's like more cost efficient there?
Yeah, I've got like different characters in very different stages, so I make different decisions there. So in general, what I advise in general is first like everything to epic, then WSE to legendary for solid foundation. Then depending on how you make your money and how you play the game, if you don't have like a farming character that you rely on the income for, I think after that the next step is to try to get a complete drop and meso set in your accessories to get that. So you have to get them to legendary, otherwise you can't get meso obtain and drop rate on those. So like 9 accessories, 5 lines of meso, 4 lines of drop, and hopefully all of them also have 1 line of int with that. But not even the line of intellect is not priority, just the 9 total lines. Once you have that, slowly work towards also having a line of intellect, because, you know, if all have 9% intellect, that's 81% intellect, so that's a lot of damage that comes from that. And then when all of that is done, slowly work everything up to unique. And then when everything is up to unique, then look at, does this item, is this item going to go, once it goes past 17 stars, because you'll roughly be working towards 17 stars at that point as well, is this character going to go past 17 star on the item itself, or am I going to transfer hammer something else over? Because if you're going to transfer hammer over, I would keep it unique and then work on the other item on the side first, because when you transfer hammer over, the potential drops down again.
Yeah, it goes back down to epic, right?
And then you have to do the cost to getting up, well, to epic, or maybe even lower, depending on what the tier is of the item that you're transferring over, right? The item you're transferring over determines. If the item transfer over has no potential, then your unique is completely gone. If it's legendary or anything up to epic, then it goes down to epic. So if it's an item like that, then I would just always keep it unique and never go further. Maybe even just like, you know, the kind of the same potential as your top, maybe like either just 9% or maybe 12, and then just keep it there. And then items where you know you're going to Star Force on the item itself, then you go further. It's a little unlucky because the items that you know for sure that you're going to go on the items itself is your WSE, but that's also the gear that's the most expensive to get good lines on in Legendary that you actually want to keep unique. So that's kind of an exception to the rule there. But all the
really
others,
lucky with my pants.
Yeah, that's
whatever it's called.
Yeah, because even if you went to Legendary, you probably aim for 21, but you already have 24. So yeah,
bless RNG.
Yeah, this one is gonna stay unique for a long time. Yeah, but it's got to be one of those things where your whole inventory is green and one item is yellow, and it's not even your worst item. It's just gonna look weird, but you'll be like, well, it's 996, so what am I gonna do?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's when you work on the accessories and everything, and then the other stuff, and that's probably when you move into Abzo stuff, right? And then Abzo just becomes a huge priority because of the level and because of the set bonus and because of the base stats, and then getting all of that to decent flames, to 17 stars, to good lines. Now Abzo is in a weird position because of how accessible the droplets are. Depends on how much money you make, of course, but there's 100 droplets in the current shop. Of each, so up to 200.
I don't even know what droplets are.
Yeah. So the way that you make your Fafnir is by you collect those 5 items, you double click, and then you pick it up, right? And then once you go to Abzolab, basically you get those drops from the monsters in the area where the bosses are, and then you combine them with the drop from the boss. So like the Lotus area has the scrapyard. So when you
I've been doing the weekly quest for that actually.
Exactly. So those drops you combine with the drops you get from Lotus, and that gives a coin. And then with those coins you can buy the items from the shop. And Damien has the same thing, but he has a few different items in the shop. So some items you have to get in one shop, some items you get in the other one. And then droplets are kind of the same, except there's no quests for them. They're all just drops from killing monsters. So it takes way longer to get all of them, and you have to get way more of them per coin, but you have to buy them in the shop in the same way. So if you can buy them from an event shop instead, that gives you a huge boost. You just save a lot of hours. Because in the beginning, it's like you get 1 droplet per hour maybe at best when you're one-shotting, if your drop rate isn't fully on point. And one item is 108 droplets, so that could be 108 hours of grinding before you can make one piece.
Is it that many? 108 per item?
Yeah, and weapon is double, so that's 216.
My god.
So if there's an event shop like this instead, where you can buy 200, all you have to do is get 16 and you have a weapon, so it saves you 200 hours of farming. Or, you know, people in the later stages who are like in the really good maps that have hundreds of percentages of drop rate, those can get 3 or maybe even 4 an hour. But even then, it's like at least for a weapon, it's like 50 to 60 hours, or just all the money that you make and just boom, click, and then now you can buy it, right? So it's a huge accelerator in how quickly do you move from one set to the next one.
Yeah. Understandable. Sounds like quite a grind.
Yeah, so I think so in general for upgrades and stuff, well, so for IED, those things are important, right? So like one line, the shield, the secondary, and then familiars, right? Revealing the familiars and trying to get 15% IED familiar line. That can be in both common and in rare, so make sure you just reveal all of those. If you're working on Legion and you get a few familiars, just always transfer them over. Always open them on the Ev and see if you get something nice. Because that's where a lot of your IED is going to come from. Your current... What was your current IED in your hyper stats?
I think it was really low. I think it's like 8 maybe?
It's a 6, yeah. So I think it would be a good idea to look at your current hyper stats. Do you need your arcane power right now to be able to kill the monsters near your level?
Let me just quickly check. how much. So an Arcane River for the area, I need 200, 210.
Yeah.
So in order to get the, you need like 50% extra to do the bonus, right?
Well, there's a 10%, a 30%, and a 50% bonus for 10%, 30, and 50% final damage extra. So you still get a bonus, but it's a smaller bonus if you don't have that amount.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I have like, I think I have 3. Wait, let me check how much I have again. So I have 300 right now.
Yeah.
And the area is 210. So I guess I could go without. Could go a little bit down on Arcane Force.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea to not go down for now, but as you hopefully do more of the dailies and level up your symbols more, once you see that you have a decent enough chunk, maybe you get a little bit from the skill as well, from the Neo skill, and with the extra levels, hopefully you get to the point where you don't need to rely on the Arcane Force hyperstat anymore, and then those points become available to be thrown into the other stats instead. Because for now you don't want to. So there's some things that specifically you need for mobbing and some things you specifically need for bossing. But if you constantly redo them every time you switch, it'll technically be min-maxing. But at your situation, it'll just be too expensive and it'll be way too much work to constantly have to redo everything, right? Because like IED and boss damage doesn't give you anything when you're mobbing, and Arcane Force doesn't give you anything right now when you're bossing. So redoing those completely would optimize your damage, but it would also just be very tedious at this point. Like in my situation, I do it because I have like 1400 or like 1200 or something hyperstats. So it's like a huge difference. I just put my EXP to 15 when I'm training and then just dump it in critical damage and damage. And then I can still one-shot. And then when I'm bossing, I move everything into basically between critical damage, IED damage, and boss damage. Everything goes in there. But that's when you have so many hyperstat points. That's when you're closer to like 250 or even above 250 that you start optimizing that. So for now, you just want to go to a hybrid combination that helps you all across the board. It'd probably be a good idea to reduce some, because you also have some in knockback resistance. I think it's going to be very useful. Do you have a Mihail?
I do not know.
Yeah, to make a Mihail so you can get the knockback resistance link skill, because that just gives you 100%. Because if you don't have 100%, you have 0.
Oh, I had no idea.
Well, that's not true, but it's kind of true, because if you have 99% chance, then every single hit can still knock you back. And it's always going to happen at the worst possible time. So as long as you don't have 100%, it's really annoying. Yeah, you get 100% when Mirror is attacking, but as you're still getting more used to the character, it might be useful to use the Mihailing skill instead, especially with the boss fights and if you're practicing just surviving and everything. You know, like if you have a Mirror attack going, you have stance, right? You have the knockback resistance.
Yeah, I've noticed it.
Yeah. So like, as you get, more and more just confident with your character and more proficient, that was the word I was looking for, then you won't need it anymore. Then you can just get rid of it. And then basically you just have a little bit of a power spike again because you can use an extra damaging link skill at that point. But
there
until
was like no proper thought to it at this point. I just dumped it all into random stuff, really.
Yeah, but if you have like 4 points, there's not much you can do. But the thing is, if you put 4 points in here, put 4 points in there, put 7 in there, but then you reset everything, then suddenly you have like 100 points that you can allocate way better. So I think you're probably at that point where a reset is probably a good idea. So I think for now it's probably fine to keep the Arcane Force at 8, keep the critical rate at 9, right? Because we talked about how to get your critical rate to 100, and that is reliant right now on the 9 that you have in there. And then I'll probably put the Ignore Defense to 9 as well, because you're going to need a lot of that. And then I would distribute all the remaining points between critical damage, and boss damage evenly, and then just see how far you get with those. Probably 6 or 7 will end up on each of those, I think. Probably 7 on each. So something
Sounds
like
good.
9, 7, 9, 7, 7, and then 8 at the end. Something like that is probably going to be the outcome. And then if you have a little bit of points, just don't use them. Just save up points until you can take one of the ones that are level 7 and take it up to level 8, or 6 up to 7 if
yeah, whenever I had like leftovers, I just put it into like random stuff. But looking back, that probably wasn't the smartest thing.
In the beginning, that makes sense because you don't make much. But the further you go, the resets becomes more expensive and it's more clicking. So the further you go, you just wait until you can put it into the next one, basically. Until they get really, really far, because then you're going to wait like 18 levels before you can level one up, because at the higher points, it's like 120 points for one level or some shit, and it's, or like even higher, so it gets really annoying to level. Yeah, like the 7 magic attack. In the beginning, it makes sense, but right now, redoing the magic attack and just completely getting out of that and moving it all into IED and there instead is way more valuable at this point.
Yeah, that's just something I had no idea about. So your input is
so that
king there.
Yeah, so for IED that should give us go from 12 to 18%. No, it's 3, right? It's from 18 to 27%. So that should help the IED a little bit, and then plus the familiars and 1 line of IED that should get you to like mid 80s at least visual IED. So there is more IED. Do you have the other IED links on, like Hoyoung?
I have the Hoyoung one unlocked. I think I have them. I'm not sure which ones I have on in the screenshot, but I do have the Hoyoung one.
You have Lightwash and then level 2 for empirical knowledge. Yeah. So the other mages to get the empirical knowledge higher, those will be useful. Maybe
is
using
just cleric and fire poison there.
Yeah. The other 2, yeah.
Okay.
Then you can stack those together into the same slot, and then the Hoyoung can very easily be put in place of either the level 1 Thief's Cunning or the Keen Edge or the level 2 Cygnus Blessing. Those can very easily be replaced there. You don't lose that much damage there. And the other thing is when 0 comes out, that one also has an IED link skill, so that you can use that one if you still need it by then. That can all give you the extra IED.
Sounds good.
And then the more you build your Legion and your links, the more you'll get access to all of the link skills, and you'll build more specifically a mobbing and a bossing setup. Now it's kind of just like all the best ones you have, you just throw in. But yeah, as you get more to that situation, like you have the Demon Slayer one that gives you 20% boss damage at level 3. Obviously completely useless when you're mobbing, but insanely good when you're bossing. So you'll have more and more specific nodes like that. Like Lightwash does nothing when you're mobbing, but you don't really have anything else to switch it out with. But once you level the, if you're mobbing, you probably use the Mercedes and maybe the Aaron if you have that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what I've been doing. Just switching the XP ones, and then when I boss, I take the Lightwash one.
Yep, exactly. And a few that use always, like the Wild Rage and the Solace, and the Judgment, right? Those are pretty much always in there. Elementalism is going to be in there for a long time. Eventually, you'll probably switch out of it, but that's when you have like 6k Legion or something, and you pretty much have access to all of the characters. I think that makes the puzzle a whole lot clearer.
Yeah, for sure.
And the hyperstats, yeah. Your invulnerability is really nice. I would keep that for a long, long time. It's going to help you grow faster in your account.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing with it. Like, I just locked the item drop rate, because obviously like getting equips early on is kind of important, right? So just lock that. Then like locking the tier and the first line, then it gets quite expensive, right? Because the more you lock, like the more points it costs.
Yep, exactly.
And then you just get lucky with the second line, I guess.
Yep, I would just keep this like at least for like another 6 months or something. There's a change from KMS coming that locking is no longer necessary. You can never tier down anymore, and the roll price is also going to go down. And they removed a bunch of junk lines and everything, so it's going to be way cheaper to roll for something really good. So if you feel like min-maxing on that and going more for bossing, and because you're not going to be training much anymore, not going to be leveling, you can do it then. But until then, you need to save up a lot of honor experience anyway, so you're fine in this current situation, so you can just start saving.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so symbol daily is very important. Try to find a buddy there that keeps you it keeps you doing those. You can help them. It's kind of like an exercise partner, right? Sometimes it's easier to say no to yourself, but if you're letting someone else down as well, then that's not as simple. Yeah, so you need to start getting those bosses up and running, so slowly working your way up. That will make it so that you have way more backups later. Star forcing wise, I think that there's a 5-15 upcoming. That's not going to be for you whatsoever. The main thing you're going to be aiming for is a 30% off. That's coming later to get a lot of your stuff to 15 stars then.
Okay.
So everything, basically you want to get all the stuff that can go past 15 at some point. You want to get the stuff to 15 during a 30% off. That's an important goal. Because past 15 is where all the big damage comes. So you want to have it ready at 15 so that not the upcoming 5, 10, 15, but the one after that, you have everything already that's important at 15, and then you can just pop it up to 17.
Is there like a big difference in like some, like right now I have like a decent amount of stuff at like level 11 Star Force? Is there like a big difference between like 11 and 12, or is it kind of
no, there's not even a big difference between 10 and 15. It's pretty flat. Oh, really? The big difference is between 15 and 16 and 16 and 17 and etc. Past 15 is where the difference is huge. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, you're basically paying the tax to be able to get past 15. And then once you pay that tax, then you can start getting huge gains. Because that's when you get weapon and magic attack on every star. So like if you see with my items, if you get, it's a little extreme, but I think I have some items at 17. So like the Sweetwater Tattoo is at 11. So this one has plus 28 stats basically. And that's a level 160 item. So that's not very crazy. If you have something at like, so the earring is at 16. So this one has plus 49 all stats. That's like almost double, but has plus 8 attack. And then
so the higher you get, it like snowballs. So you get like a ton at some point.
Yeah, it just every single star goes a little bit more. So the next star gives me 9 all stat and 9 attack, and then the next one is 10, and then 11, and then 12, and then once you get to 21, it's like 106 stat and 69 attack. On like every single piece has,
especially the attack, I guess. The higher you get.
Yeah, so like all my pieces have like between 70 and 80 to 90 attack, and it's like 14 pieces, so you're just looking at like over 1,000 attack basically, which is crazy.
Yeah. Won't be there anytime soon.
No, you won't, but the big jump is like 15 17, so prepping up to 15, and that's in a good time frame as well. That's in like more than a month, I think. But check the event calendar, right? Oh, well, I haven't updated the event calendar yet, actually. But once it's updated, make sure you check the event calendar to see all the sunny Sundays and when they are, and then plan accordingly. See like, okay, this event is really cool, but I can't use it. Okay, skip it this time. This event is really cool. Okay, that's in 6 weeks. Okay, how much money am I going to need? You can use the calculators, right, to get an idea of how much it's going to cost. And then you have kind of an idea of, okay, this is how much money I want to have by then. So, okay, is your current plan good? Or do you need to do a little bit more training, a little bit less events, a little bit more events, a little bit less training maybe? And then you kind of try to balance your time out to see what makes sense for 11/7? Yeah. Oh, so it's exactly a month from now. Okay. Yeah. Well, a month and a day, I guess, depending on your time zone. Yeah. So that's like Star Force wise, and then flame wise. Have you seen the flame video?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Actually, something I was pretty sad about, or sad. Like I didn't know at the time, so it's kind of whatever. But I was like messing around with the transfer hammer system.
Yeah.
And something I realized early on is that like the Star Force and the potential, they do carry over, but the flame doesn't. And I had this from the elite boss. I had a pencilier or Utgard weapon, whatever it's called, with like I think it was like a tier 6 or tier 7 flame, and it had like tier 6 or 7 all stat, and int. It was like I don't remember what it was, but it was like the craziest flame I've seen. And then I had a Sweetwater weapon at some point, but I didn't even know that it was a thing, so eventually I just disregarded the weapon with like the insane flames because I didn't know about the transposing thing.
It's probably, well, I mean, in the long term, it's probably still better because you have the set bonus, right? The 30% boss damage for set bonus for for Fafnir definitely overpowers however good the Fafnir, the Utgard was. But yeah, that's it's unfortunate when people, or you think it works one way and then it works the other, and you're like, oh, that was not, it was a bad idea, yeah. So, well, with that in mind, like the flame on the weapon is still pretty important and there's still room for improvement, but let it all depend on what your income of flames is, right? Not be like, oh, I have one flame, I'm going to throw it on a weapon. There's like, because it's like 92% chance that you get a worse flame and maybe like 8% chance you get a better one, right? I mean, I'm kind of making that number up, but it's like that order of magnitude right now. And even if you get flamed anything better, it's maybe like 95% chance that your flame goes down. So again, you want to make sure that all your other stuff that can get flamed, that all of that stuff is like in an okay situation first
it's
before
kind of
you
the balance I've been looking for, because for example my CRA, like I think I got fairly lucky in my hat.
Yeah,
I think it
that's
was
a very nice hat for now.
and then I guess the top and the bottom are like decent, right? Like they have all stats, have a little bit of int. They're not ideal, but I think that's like one of these, like obviously I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I feel like these wouldn't like really be worth like investing in, right? Like flame wise.
No, like your cup is like the other one. That one's at 64. So that one's also pretty much where you want it. And then the belt already has 80. So there's not much that you have that has flame advantage right now that you can really work on. Earring has 12 and 4. No. And then like the eye in the face. Probably the thing you work on now would be like the eye. As weird as it is.
Oh yeah, that one is shitty.
Because it's just 6 magic attacks. So that one, basically that one has the lowest risk of actually dropping. And if it drops, it's whatever. Your damage is not really going to change. So that one is the freest of flame. But I wouldn't just throw flames on because you have one. Because flames last a week, right? So however many flames you get, I would just wait until they start flashing that they're going to expire and then see how many you have. If you only have 2, throw it on something that you don't really care about. If you have like 10 or 12 or something, then you can go a little bit higher risk on something that still can get a lot of returns, and maybe then you can go on the weapon. If you end up using like 6 of them or 7 of them, and you basically end up at the same thing again that you had, well, then just wait again until the flames start flashing again. If you use like 10 of them and it's still shitty, you know, just try to use all of them. See if you can salvage it a little bit. But if you use 1 or 2 and you get a really big upgrade, well, then go for another item instead after that, right? But the tier for the magic attack on the weapon is just really, really important. And you've worked with the calculator before a little bit?
Yeah, I've seen it on your previous videos.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think for the weapon, you're looking for like high 70s, I guess? 204. Oh, 66, yeah. Oh, 84 would be tier 7, yeah. 66. On a 20...
Now I have a tier 4, right?
36, yeah, correct. Tier 4, yeah. With some all stat, yeah. And all stat is like, well, so like a little bit like 8, like 40, so like 13 attack, and 13 is about how much, 14 is what you would gain. So you basically have the equivalent of a tier 5 now, which is not bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the point I was at with like many things, they're just like decent. And I guess I just want to focus on getting like the quote-unquote like the shitty items like up first, rather than getting something from decent to good, right? Because there's like more value in that. Like instead like the face accessory, which is like awful flame wise.
Exactly. So if you get 1 or 2 flames, you can just throw it on like your face, or maybe the eye later, or you know, or the earring even. You know, work on those a little bit. And if those are okay as well, and you just have like 1 flame and it's expiring, and that's all you have, just let it expire. Don't like get baited into using it and then losing like 50 intellect, because that just feels bad. Because sometimes it's better to just let them expire. If you have extra CRA pieces, don't make them, but keep them as tickets, because it's going to stink up your inventory. Your inventory is a little bit of a mess right now. Do you need some help organizing what you can get rid of and what is good to hold?
I feel like I can just toss like a bunch of stuff, right? Because I had the hard Ranmaru stuff. I think that's pretty shitty. Yeah, some help would be greatly appreciated there. I'm pretty clueless.
Yes, because I think the Von Leon stuff is pretty much completely... so it doesn't have potential, so it's pretty much completely replaced now, right?
Yeah.
We were thinking of keeping... So if they have really good flames, you might use it over the... over what you have right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I kept them for. Like I bought like a bunch of the Von Leon stuff from the vendor back when I was doing normal Von Leon like a month ago or something. And I had like the Pencilier items, which have like shitty flames, and they were only 6% in, so I didn't like put too much into that. So I just bought like a bunch, and I get like really good flames. So for example, my Pencilier gloves right now, they have 24 int, and that's it. And then one of the Von Leon gloves that I bought has 12 int and 6 all stat, for example, which obviously isn't perfect, but it's kind of like, it was just the 2 pencilier items that were like really shitty, kind of like lacking behind the rest.
Yeah.
So I had like these Cygnus stuff, because I did easy Cygnus for a few weeks now.
Yeah, because shoe and gloves are kind of an annoying items for progression.
Not really sure what to do there. Like I have like this Cygnus stuff, then I bought some Fun Leon stuff, but
yeah,
nothing really standing out there.
That could be something where you also throw extra flames on just to see if it's worth it. If it gets like a really good flame, you use it. Otherwise, you just stick with what you have. Yeah, obviously, like the higher level the item, the better the potential outcome. So I would focus on the Cygnus stuff. And the other thing is also, since it's also level 140, if you do transfer hammer, if you do Star Force it later and you use them for a while, and then later you want to move into Abzo, what you can do is you can transfer hammer it into Remaru gear, and then transfer hammer that again into the Abzo gear, and then you can transfer a bunch of the cost that you invested into the Star Forcing. You can at least get it up to epic potential as well, which is also a saved cost, and you can already pre-flame if you want on the Abzo before you transfer it over, so that because that doesn't get overwritten anyway. So that's how you can look at those pieces to see what kind of value they may have for your account.
Yeah, that's smart actually.
The Nova capes, you can just I usually NPC those because they're very low level, but they have decent NPC value, so I just NPC those. Like the Elysium belts are like level 80 or something, so you just do whatever with those. Yeah, so don't get rid of too much of the Remaru stuff, I would say. Right now your inventory is like pretty small, so they're not really necessary. But like the extra pencilier stuff, I would just extract that. Have you leveled up extraction and alchemy?
No, not at all.
It's
Is
nice.
this like a lot of gain or?
Well, you can get Philosopher's Stones and those NPC for 300k each, which is way more than what the pieces NPC for. And you can get up to 4 from one item. I think on average you get like a little bit less than 1 per item if it's pencilier, but that still means that instead of like 40k NPC, you get like 200 plus k. So you're like multiplying the value of every item by 5.
Yeah, that's quite.
So it adds up, especially in the beginning when you're kind of like gathering crumbs, you know. So yeah, it's an extra revenue stream. Yeah, extra, like as long as you have 1 spare cup to like flame in case you want to, so that you don't have to flame the one that you're already holding onto. There's no need to have like multiple cups because there's like fusing and everything, but it's really bad at low tiers and it gives you outcomes worse than flame. So just 1 backup is fine there. You have some extra earrings. I think you'd just be fine with your 1 earring that you have now. When it comes to Gollux, like hold, if you get any reinforced drops, I would hold that. But everything that's cracked and solid, I would only hold it if it has epic potential, and then just like, you know, give it 1 Star Force, transfer hammer it over, and then just make it, and that will clean up your inventory too.
Yeah, I was holding on to a lot of the Gollux stuff, but then I realized it was actually pretty bad.
Yeah, because the base stats aren't that good. The only reason we want Gollux is the set bonus. Set bonus is where it's at.
Yeah, but I guess only the reinforced set bonus is good, right? Like
yeah, that's where it starts being good, and then Superior is the only one we aim for, because not all the items can drop from the boss, so if you want to get the full set, you have to buy 2 of the pieces, so...
Yeah.
Was there a maintenance at reset? Oh no, I still have to do dailies. Oh, and we're overtime as well, so... I'm gonna have to see. Is there anything... yeah, so equips, like... Speedrun through your equips, okay? So WSE, that's figured out for now, right? You know, like Abzo is next, but that's like way further down the line. If you do get to that point, you can transfer hammer, or you can do it on Abzo, whatever makes sense for you. Probably like transfer hammer once you're at 17 here, transfer back up to 17, redo the potential, redo the flame, done, kind of thing. So accessories, that's probably the next thing that you're gonna work on the potential. The potential side for that, try to get some legendaries, and then the meso and the drop rate, right, to make your damage, because you don't really want to rely on your equips and on these accessories for your damage. You want to rely on these for your utility. Your damage has to come from your nodes, from your arcane symbols, and from figuring out how your character works properly and all of that stuff. That's where your damage is going to come from. and then your equips for now is just providing the utility, and your WSE is where a lot of your damage comes from, but none of the other stuff for now.
Your accessories are drop and meso mostly, right?
Exactly, yeah. Well, especially you're gonna play with one character, right? You're not gonna have like a farmer on the side and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not.
Okay. Yeah. That's important to know for the decision. Yeah. So the rings are gonna be important, and the event rings. So you do have the pieces there, and it's pretty much these pieces that you have now that you're going to be working on. There's no need to really go super crazy. You can choose to go for like another ring instead of the Silver Blossom ring maybe, but the set bonuses there are pretty nice still, so there's no real need to really roll out of that.
It's the 9 sets, I think, right now.
Yeah, so I think these pieces that you have right now are probably fine to work on. So you know which accessories get meso and drop?
I think rings are really easy to get it on, right?
All the accessories are pretty much the same. They have like the same amount of junk line, so it's about the same cost. If you look at calculators, they're calculated the same. So it's rings, earrings, pendants, and then the eye in the face. Those are the 9 equips.
Sounds good.
So 5 meso, 4 drop, and then once you're working on like 17 star and everything, that's when like Commercy and the monocle and the tattoo and rolling those for damage. That's when all of that stuff comes in, like for reference. That's when the beginning stuff of Golux starts coming in. Maybe you have a Dominator pendant by then, that kind of stuff. But then that will hold the set bonus. CRA is just, that's going to be there forever, but it's important to get CRA rolling for the backups so that if you do want to Star Force Beyond, that you can, basically you'll have the guarantee of the backups and it'll save you money on not having to safeguard, so that's going to be the good thing. Shoes and gloves are the annoying one. You'll probably just keep this for quite a bit. If you roll like something really good, like a really good flame on on a Cygnus or something, or on a Von Leon, but like on a Cygnus, you want to prioritize those. If you roll a really good flame there, you can choose to move over, but it'd have to be significantly better than this, right? You don't want to have to spend like 50 mil just to gain like 20 intellect, because it's kind of like a misplacing of your funds at this point. But if something rolls like unironically rolls like 60 int and 5 all-stat or something, you're like, okay, that's just so much better than what I have now, because you can eventually just get that to 17 stars, and then the Star Force can still be transferred over through the Ramaru gloves,
just
or the root gloves
later on.
Yeah, and that also means that the Pencilier is just completely obsolete, and then you can get rid of that. Or you use the other gloves, and then you keep this one to transfer hammer over or something. I don't know, just to make things epic. See if there's any value in that. For heart, there is a fairy heart in the shop right now. It is going to be 2 bill though. That's pretty expensive, but it is level 100, so it has the same tier as like as all the other stuff, so it can go up to.
Is that like something I should aim for, like getting that?
Yeah, the only alternative is the Wondroid heart, and Wondroid was out pretty recently, so that's probably not going to come out for a year or maybe 2 from now. So that probably would be a decent idea to work towards, because it's one of those things where you can kind of get quote-unquote best in slot and lock it in pretty quickly, and then work on it whenever. But once you have it, like no one can take it away from you anymore, that kind of thing. Would you take the Absolute weapon from this event? Would you take the fake Absolute weapon from this event? That's a good question, because you would get a 17 star. The thing is, it is a decent weapon for sure once you for bossing, and you can flame it and then just keep it for a long time, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. Potential is locked, Star Force is locked, and it would also mean that you don't have to work on the Star Force or on the potential anymore of your current weapon. And it has some crit rate on it, which can solve a few of the short-term problems. And then eventually, once you get all the other Absolute pieces, you can move it into a real weapon. That's probably a good thing to think about, that's an option for you, yeah. That seems like a solid option. You've heard about the Absolute as a reward, right?
I read up on like the burning rewards. Is it like the thing you get at like 210 or 220?
Yeah, I think it's 220, yeah. And but the box is transferable, so you could give it to your Evan and use the weapon there. So for now, the thing is that if you throw it on there now, you lose the 30% boss damage from your set bonus, and then it'll probably be an upgrade, but like a very small one. The main thing will be once you get a good flame on it, and you have the other Absolute pieces to make the set, then it'll really round it out, and it'll be really good. Yeah. So with that in
mind, I think it will be a
mind,
while until I can get the EBSA stuff.
yeah, for sure. But with that in mind, it's probably that probably means that the weapon is not a priority for Star Forcing. Because it's going to be replaced there anyway.
Yeah.
Although later you could then Star Force it to transfer hammer it into a real Absolab, so you can redo the potential. But that's like that's like further. That's like another step after that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you keep it in your inventory, but or you keep this one for mobbing, use the other one for bossing, maybe that kind of thing. What other equips? Oh wait, yeah, I need to like visualize all the equips. Okay, so rings, we kind of know what's going on there, right? Cup, we know what's going on there. Pendants, we know what's going on there. Weapon, we talked about that. The belt, yeah. So the belt is basically the belt and the earring are basically just. Those are going into Gollux later. So the current ones that you have are basically going to be treated just like your CRA. Like, okay, you're going to get legendary on the earrings, right? You want to get drop or meso. And then Star Force wise, you keep them up and you keep going up with them as well. You can get backups. You have you have a few backups already, and you can get backups pretty quickly, so you don't have to safeguard. And you will be able to transfer hammer the belt at least over into the superior Gollux belt if you get to that point. For the earring, of course, the earring is going to be stuck on itself, but you're going to keep that until you get superior earrings, which is going to be like an eternity from now. Or at least it'll feel like one. So it's very safe to just go, get them to legendary, get those lines, and get them to 17 stars. Those are going to stay with you for quite a while. CRA, we talked about that. Shoes and gloves, we talked about that. Shoulder, you keep the current one to set bonus one until you switch it into Absolab. So once Absolab comes into the frame, that's when you want to start saving your Ranmaru equips so that you can Star Force fodder those without having to safeguard. You can get a bunch of backups, and then that way you can cheaply get them up, depending on how rich you are, then like either get them up to 15 during a 30% off, then 16 during a 5, 10, 15, transfer them over to Abzo, again to 16 guaranteed, and then safeguard them from 16 to 17 to end up with 17-star Abzo. Or you go like all the way and you try to push them to like 21 or something, if you're like really rich, you go like really crazy and then transfer them over into like 20 Abzo and then just sit on that forever. But that decision will depend on how rich are you at that point, how many backups do you have, how realistic is the move from Abzo over into Arcane already because of the droplets. As you saw from KMS, apparently the KMS summer update, so that will be our winter update, has 800 total droplets in it, which is an insane amount, because we also get droplet exchange, right? We can freely trade one for the other. So if you have enough Lucid and Will drops, that's like more than one character's complete Arcane set. So that's massive. So if that's something that's near, then probably all you need is just 17-star Abzo, and maybe you get 2-line Unique on it and OK Flames, and they're just placeholders while all the other stuff gets better, and then you move right into Arcane from that, something like that. So it'll depend on how quickly you progress through there. Eye in the Face, we talked about that, right? You work on the current ones, and then once you are looking at 17 starring, then the tattoo and the monocle come into play. So that'll give you some time for the Commercy dailies as well to start building up your ship so you can get your income rolling.
I've just been doing it very slowly, just the voyages.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine.
Is it normal that it's quite slow to get the Narrows?
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah. So there's two major ways that you can go about it. Hey, do you want to know something? I have a command for that. I know you didn't expect it, but there's like two different ways. One is just I want to have enough dineros to just buy one of all the accessories, and then that's it. So because it's probably just going to go to 17, that's the highest I'll really go. But there's also another one where you know that you are going to eventually push to like 19, 20, maybe even 21 star. You need a bunch of backups, and there's more value in not needing to safeguard and having backups versus making all the money and and the amount of booms and etc. Like I did the maths on that. If you do the second way, once you get your boat upgraded to level 3, you can make a fuck ton of dineros like every day. I think you make like 40.
Is it like linked to your boat level, like the amount of dineros you can get?
Yeah, because you get more energy and you can take more items with you, so the profit per voyage is higher as well.
Oh, I see. And the boat's like level 1, so I guess that's why it's kind of slow.
Yeah, well, yeah, everyone starts at level 1, but like, eventually you can get to the Dreadnought, and then this one has 120 energy and can take 6 items every time, so then I think you make something like 40 dineros a day without CPQ or something. It's pretty nuts. Like, you can almost afford an accessory every week at that point. So then it starts building up very, very quickly. But, you know, if you want to be transposing and you want to boom them a bunch of times, it will go down fast as well. So you do need to build that buffer if you want to go for that. Earring, shoulder, glove. Yeah, you keep your current cape until you switch it out. Like, you might find a Tyrant cape that's maybe a little bit better or a little bit worse, but it's whatever.
Tyrant is hard Magnus, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I've just been cheesing normal Magnus.
Yeah.
Like just killing him in like 20 seconds or something.
Yep. Well, yeah, hard Magnus will be in play once you're more comfortable with CRA and you've done complete CRA. That's when hard Magnus and then Chaos Papulatus and then Akechi, that's when those bosses come into play. And then after that will be Lotus and Damien. So that's kind of like the order. And then Helix. So that's kind of like the order that you're working towards.
Yeah, so in your progression grid. But I think if I can't even do CRA, it's quite a quite a stretch for me.
Yeah, it's quite a stretch. Well, one step at a time. So we talked about the heart, we talked about secondary. For the medal, are you working on the Monster Parker medal?
Yeah, but to be completely honest, I've been slacking quite hard. So it's like, I don't know, like 10 out of 77 or something like that.
Yep.
I saw in one of your previous videos, like you should be buying some of the extra tickets, but it's kind of repetitive, right?
Yep.
So I haven't really bothered, but I know I should be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, should is a strong word, but it is beneficial because all of the extra potions you can use, you won't feel as hampered to be like, oh, I can't really practice the boss fully because, you know, I don't have that many Monster Park potions. And then once you have a lot of them, you can use them all your mules as well and level up your Legion faster and all that. It's going to be worth it in the long term. But, you know, you have to have the time to do all of these things, right? Because I'm telling you, like, how valuable all these dailies are. But if you do all of them, now you don't have any time to really play anymore. You're just doing chores all day.
Yeah, like at first it was just like finishing Journey, and then like the new areas keep adding on to it, and then there's like Monster Park and Maple Tour and Ursus, and I'm sure for you there's like 50 more things because you're at like the very late game, right?
Yeah, and you can do them on multiple characters, and then you just times 2, times 3,
or times 6 in your case.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was times I would never like overlap the same area too much with multiple characters, but you know, once you finish like 1 or 2 symbols, then you just get started on the next one. So I would, at most, I think I did like 8 areas worth of symbol dailies or something on one day. I never did more than that. I didn't do like 25 in total or something. Like if one character has an area done, then I would just start the area on a new character, and then if the second one is done, so that I always kind of keep the same amount going. Yeah, I never do like 6 hours of dailies. Well, I mean, you can call a lot of things a daily, but yeah, never to be like, okay, oh, finally it's like 11:30 at night. Now I can start playing the game. Like,
Yep.
Trying to avoid that. But it's not always possible.
The dailies get a bit overwhelming, so
yeah, especially when event dailies get added, then it can be too much.
Yeah, like all the coin capping, and that on top of like all the basic dailies and the symbol stuff and the bosses. And
well, at that point, if an event comes around and you're like, okay, I really need these items for the events, like, oh, there are nodestone boxes, these are super important. Well, if you that then takes priority over something else, so there's probably some other stuff that you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to not do that anymore. That I just don't have the time for that anymore, and then another daily just has to go, you know?
Yeah. Everything makes sense now, especially the V-Matrix stuff was...
yeah, there's a lot there in the beginning.
Yeah, I think everything makes perfect sense now.
It's a lot of details.
It's just a matter of farming and black cubing everything.
Yeah, the black cubing thing, yeah, no, like for value, but it's like the accessories, right? Those are the next ones. So you have a month for the Star Force event, so you have quite a while to make money for that.
Yeah, probably to just save like a bill, maybe 2 bill or something like that. Just resist the urge to waste it all on cubes.
Yeah, put it in storage so it's a little bit further away. There's a barrier in between to spend it.
Your code is the barrier.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope. Yeah. Well, next patch is gonna be gone, so.
Oh no.
Then it's gonna have to be willpower. Willpower is gonna have to keep the barrier in between. Yeah, man. Any last thing you really want to ask before we go?
I think everything is very clear. Only one small question is, what should I be using the Neo stones on, like for this event? Like just nodes, like you said, I am assuming.
I'd be real, man. What can you even buy with the stones? Because I read these patch notes, but it's like in one ear, out the other. I like.
Yeah,
usually...
there's like 5 different stones or something.
Yeah, I was just checking with Crystal Challenge, Stone
Shop.
Shop.
Mayala one.
Oh yeah, Enhancement and Aisha one. Yeah. The Neo Stone Shop. What's in here?
I saw like a unique scroll, but it cost like 5k, so I wasn't even sure if that was even worth it. So I assumed I was just gonna go for nodes.
Yeah, probably not. That's more like a non-reboot value thing.
Oh.
Yeah, I would just focus on buying out all the node stones. So we have what? Second shop for Aisha. There's the boxes. And then Mayala has the... Oh no, that one has more nodes. Yeah, so you're probably going to be focusing on Aisha most of anything, yeah. The regular nodes, oh yeah, regular nodes in the first shop, and then the boxes in the second shop. Yeah, and then the third one has the packages.
Nodes it is.
Yeah, they're just super important, Because you don't really notice how many you use on a character over the years that you play it, but if you start funding like a new character at this point, I think you need about 5,000 nodes to like completely deck it out.
That's insane.
Yeah.
5,000. My god. Yeah,
like you can probably get a really good start with like 3,000. You know, you can like max your boost nodes and then you get your skill nodes to a decent level. But if you really want to max everything out and go hard on it, it's like 5,000, maybe
a
even
humble
more.
3,000. You say like it's nothing.
I mean, that's almost half, right? So that means you can get 2 characters to that point. That's usually what I do. I go really hard on the boost nodes and I kind of leave the skill nodes. And then just see how far I can get. And if I can do pretty much everything around my level at a decent pace, then I don't go too hard. But, you know, if a party needs more damage that I'm in or something, then I can go harder there. But if it's not necessary, I just, you know, I hold it.
Yep. Well, I think that was everything. It was all loud and clear. And
all right. Well, I'm glad. Good luck on all of the re-clicking for now and all of the stuff that we that we talked about.
Thank you very much. There's so many systems, so it was great to have your help and your insight and everything. Definitely.
All right. Well,
made
I'm glad.
Everything a lot more clear. So.
Well, good. You're welcome. And
thank you.
I'll be streaming a lot, so don't be a stranger in the chat. Just fire away. There's a lot of helpful people in the chat who can point you to the commands or answer the questions themselves. And
sounds good.
I'll upload it on YouTube so you can listen back to what you sound like on a recording.
Oh yeah.
And maybe like 1 or 2 things if you didn't write it down or that you forgot from the session, you can pick it back up. And then
yeah, perfect.
And then the next person can see that one and then use your example too. And then maybe I can talk to them soon. All right. Best of luck and enjoy Neo. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, dude. Have a nice evening.
Yes, you too. Bye.
All right. See you, man.
All right. If you enjoyed that session, I'm glad. Hopefully there were 1, 2, 3, or 4, or maybe even 5 things in there that you maybe didn't know or you were having questions about. Hopefully the Matrix, the Link skills, the Legion, progression throughout the gears, all of that, and the importance of things like nodes and symbols are now more clear to you. If you want one of these sessions as well, check the description of the video. If you have data for me in form of a battle analysis, any monsters that you can kill per hour totals in Vanishing Journey, or Grandis now, I guess. And if you have training videos anywhere in Tenebris area or in the new Grandis area, check the description of the video as well. And if you are looking for a guild and you want to join the Scardor guild in either NA or EU, there's also a link in the description for either of those to apply to if you're looking for a new home. Maybe we can help you out on getting started in your MapleStory journey. So that's been me. Hopefully this was educational for at least one of you. And check out my other videos. I made a video on what to terror burn in Neo. Check that one out if you haven't already. That can save you a lot of, you know, missed character creation. And Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.